Hello and welcome to Ray Fisher Stadium. We are here for the series finale and the regular season finale for the Michigan Wolverines. They take on the Oklahoma State Cowboys. The third game, the Wolverines have dropped the first two to the Cowboys. The opener on Thursday, 12-2, and then the Friday night game, 11-5. Wolverines try and salvage one here. It's senior day here in Ann Arbor, honoring the 7 seniors for this Michigan Wolverines squad. I'll be filling in with plenty of information on those seniors all game long. Andrew Hausman here on the call for WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball. We're just about ready to get underway. It'll be the visiting Oklahoma State Cowboys batting first. They will come up against Brett Adcock. Brett Adcock, 3.57 ERA on the year, 7-4. 15 appearances, 13 of those starts. He does have one complete game, 68 innings pitched, 58 hits, 33 runs, 27 of those earned, 72 strikeouts against 42 walks. And really looking to command the strike zone. Wolverines have struggled all series long trying to just throw strikes against what is not known as a top Big 12 offense, but they've really lit up the scoreboard here at Ray Fisher Stadium. Able to put up 12 runs in the opener and then 11 last night. So Wolverines need to limit the damage on the defensive side of the ball if they want to have any chance to put up a few runs against this vaunted Oklahoma State pitching staff and get a win here in the series finale. First up will be Gage Green. Back at catcher today. He caught on Thursday, then was in left field last night. Now returns to the catching position for the final regular season game for both of these teams. The Wolverines 32-23 on the year. Oklahoma State 34-16. Adcock comes set, shrugs his shoulders, now delivers the first pitch of the day at 12:03 p.m. Game time temperature 72 degrees, a cloudy afternoon here at Ray Fisher Stadium in Ann Arbor. Here's the 0-1 delivery by Adcock. That one's a little bit up, so they'll even it at 1-1. Home plate umpire today, Pete Pedersen. Sal Giacomo down at first base. Stuart Hall at third base. Adcock crouches down, then delivers, misses outside, 2-1. Green's had a solid series so far. 2-1 delivery lifted high in the air to center field. Glines is tracking it, still going back, and he will settle underneath it and make the catch. So a long fly ball out off the bat of Gage Green. That's the first out here in the top of the first. No score from Ray Fisher Stadium. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball. That will bring up Donnie Walton. He's had a good series as well for the Cowboys. Particularly last night. Donnie Walton 2 for 4 on the day. Also crushed a home run. That was in the third inning. That tied the game up off the scoreboard, and Cowboys really took over after that. Wolverines had a 2-0 lead courtesy of a Jackson Glines home runs, but Donnie Walton got them back in the game, and though it was still a close game going into the 6th inning with the Wolverines leading 5-4, Oklahoma State put 6 up on the board at an insurance run in the 9th, and they won yesterday 11-5. 2 pitches missed outside to Donnie Walton. Now he fouls one off down the first baseline. That will go foul and out of play. 2-1 on Donnie Walton. Donnie Walton also 1 for 6 on the day in the Thursday night game. Waiting for the 2-1 delivery. Adcock delivers. That one's popped up. Foul. That will get into the stands. Laying about halfway up the bleachers. Just on the first base line. We're perched right behind home plate here at Ray Fisher Stadium, just a little bit offset to the left. Very close, and we can really fill you on where all the foul balls go and the interactions of the players. And here comes the 2-2 pitch, swing and a miss. Adcock gets the first strikeout on the day from Donnie Walton. 2 outs here in the top of the first. They'll bring up Tim Arakawa. Also has had a nice series. This all-around good baseball player. Only 2 for 7 from the plate, but has also walked 3 times. He takes a big cut at that one. Swing and a miss, or he did get a little piece of that one, as ruled by home plate umpire Pete Pedersen. 0-1. The lefty Adcock delivers to the lefty Arakawa. Strike on the outside corner. Good fastball there from Adcock. Quickly 0-2 on Arakawa as Brett Adcock looks for a quick inning here. Connor Costello on deck if it gets to him. Adcock delivers. Swing and a miss. Back-to-back strikeouts end the first inning for the Wolverines. They're off to a good start here. 0-0 your score. We head to the bottom of the first on Senior Day. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball. Andrew Hausman on the call here for you today. Our final regular season broadcast of Michigan baseball. We also want to remind you that coming up at 4 p.m., the first day of the game across the way at Alumni Field, it'll be the Michigan Wolverines against the Cal Golden Bears. That's in the winner's bracket of the double elimination regional. Wolverines are the number 3 overall national seed, so they get to play potentially the first 2 rounds at home. They won by virtue of run rule victory last night against the local Oakland Golden Grizzlies, 9-1, and now they face off against Cal, 4 p.m. That will be on the YouTube 1 channel, and you can follow our Twitter account at WCBN Sports to get the latest updates on that game as well. But that game should be kicking off right when this one wraps up, maybe about half an hour to an hour later. That's at 4 p.m. and a little less exciting atmosphere here at the Wilpon Complex. Last night, both games starting at 6 p.m., both Wolverines squads facing off against quality competition, and lots of fans out here, really an electric atmosphere, and it helped the Wolverines get out to a 5-4 lead, as I mentioned, and that's where they were. They were sitting at 5-4 right when that softball game ended, but I guess the bad karma carried over, and they were unable to carry on the good vibes from the softball team and quickly gave up 6 in the top of the 6th. That pretty much settled the game, and from then on, it was just a formality as the Cowboys closed out their second straight win in the series. Coming up for the Wolverines will be Cronenworth, Bivens, and Glines, the typical 1-2-3 hitters in this Wolverines lineup. Cronenworth steps up to the plate, batting .250 in the series, 2 for 8. Also has 2 walks. Hilting in that lefty batter's box against Remy Reed, the standout pitcher for these Oklahoma State Cowboys. He's been a spot starter, mostly out of the bullpen. He'll deliver the first pitch high and outside. 1-0. Next pitch fouled straight back into the screen right towards us. Evens count at 1-1 on Jacob Cronenworth. Bivens on deck, lines in the hole. Remy Reed's had a real good year. ERA below 1.92. He delivers a breaking ball for a strike on the outside corner.
Yeah, Freeman is the Dowser Award finalist, but if you talk to Coach Josh Holliday, he'll let you know that today's pitcher is almost equally impressive, perhaps more so.
And that one's lined foul and out of play down the left field line. Gave that one a ride, but a little too late. Count remains 1-2 on Jacob Cronenworth. We're here in the bottom of the first. No score from Ray Fisher Stadium on Senior Day. WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball. Andrew Hausman alongside Zach Shaw on the call. Reed comes set, now delivers. The 1-2 pitch almost hits him. Cronenworth gets out of the way of that one. Count goes to 2-2. Reed 3-0 in the year, 39 1/3 innings pitched, 29 hits in 39 innings. Impressive there, only 4 earned runs. There's a ground ball to third, scooped up by Petrino. He'll fire over to first base and get Cronenworth by 2 steps. There's the first out here in the bottom of the first.
Yeah, and Holliday really just likes his ability to keep it down in the zone. More than anything else, just impressive control. And really, if you can just force ground balls, especially with Oklahoma State's defense, that's going to prevent a lot of hits and a lot of hard hit balls and ultimately really control those rallies. Obviously, he hasn't given up any rallies, just 4 earned runs total on the season.
And expect to see a plethora of Cowboys pitchers. This one's grounded right to first base. Williams will wait for it to come to him and then step on the bag and make the play unassisted. So one pitch swinging. Jake Bivens grounds out to first. That's 2 outs here in the bottom of the first inning. Yeah, as Holiday was mentioning after the game last night, just work through a lot of pitchers here. We already have seen 3 different pitchers warming up in that Cowboys bullpen on the right field line, and expect them to see maybe only 1 or 2 innings as they try and stay sharp for that Phillips 66 Big 12 tournament starting on Wednesday. Jackson Glines coming up to the plate.
Yeah, Michigan also has some decisions to make as far as how they want to go about pitching. They've haven't really seen a lot of poise and promise from their starters this weekend, so it'll be interesting to see what Bakich decides to do on Wednesday.
0-1 pitch misses low and away. 1-1 on Jackson Glines. 5 for 9. Excuse me, 2 for 7 is on the weekend. Is Jackson Glines. 1-1 lifted foul on the left field line that will get off the roof.
Oh, in a puddle.
In a puddle, yeah. Rain overnight here at Ray Fisher Stadium, but the sun trying to break through the clouds here. Give us a sunny finale here on Saturday. 1-2 on Jackson Glines. The lefty facing the righty Reed. Reed delivers. Ball just a little bit outside. 2-2. Outfield plays the lefty Glines just a little bit to left center field. Pretty much straight up and a little deeper than average depth. The 2-2 delivery. That one's lifted in the air to left field. Suter will drift over. Drift to his left, come in 1 step, make the catch. And that's 3 easy outs for Reed. We head to the top of the second. No score from Ray Fisher Stadium. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball. Andrew Hausman alongside Zach Shaw on the call.
And if you haven't been listening to us or watching the previous 2 games, Michigan didn't do too well. There wasn't too much to be desired. Last night, 4 errors, 11 walks. The night before, I believe it was, 8 walks, perhaps even more. Just a lot of free passes, and I mentioned that none of the starting pitchers have left a lot to be desired for Michigan coach Erik Bakich. He has some decisions to make. It'll probably be against Indiana or Maryland in that 4-5 game. If Michigan State loses today, Michigan will move into that 3 seed and likely face Indiana or Ohio State, whoever wins today in that matchup. So a lot of shuffling in those 5 teams. From what I can gather and from what I've seen this season, they're all about the same, but Michigan needs to be playing its best baseball if it wants to continue to advance in the Big Ten tournament, which at this point looks like its only route of making it to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, with an RPI in the 80s coming into this series, they had a chance to grab some high RPI victories here, but they've gotten crushed in the first 2 games, as you mentioned. And just to get our listeners updated on the stats, that's 11 walks by the pitching staff on Thursday, and then 11 more last night.
Not going to get the job done.
That's also with 6 errors combined over the 2 games. So sloppy baseball for the Wolverines. And it'd be one thing if they were playing good baseball and losing to a good team, but they're not playing good baseball and they're playing a good team. That's a dangerous recipe.
But that could also almost be a good sign that they were still in last night's game before things completely fell off in that 6th inning, even though they'd committed their 4 errors before that inning and they'd walked about 6 of their guys before that inning. So they weren't playing good baseball and they were still in it. But, talking to Bakich last night, he said, if we don't have good pitching and good defense, we're nothing. It doesn't matter how good our offense is, but if we do have good pitching and good defense, that offense can really carry us a long way. But he needs all 3 areas of the game to be at least consistent in the Big Ten tournament.
First up is pitching and defense here. We're in the top of the second. Connor Costello leads off, takes a cut and miss. Gets a nice breaking ball there from Brett Adcock. Had a easy first inning with 2 strikeouts. Now a foul lined right back into the screen.
Yeah,
scares a fan behind home plate.
I'm surprised Adcock is getting the Saturday start. I expected him to get last night's start over Newtoff because Adcock at times has looked like the ace of the staff. He's had some of the best performances by anyone on this team.
And a check swing. Did he go around? He did! So a strikeout on a check swing. Already the 3rd strikeout of the day for Brett Adcock. And as you mentioned, looking like an ace so far today. 4 outs in.
Yeah, and he's had games where he struck out 10, he struck out 11. Both of those are the top 2 performances from a strikeout perspective in the Big Ten. And he's had some inconsistency as well. But when he is on, he is on. And I think Michigan really would be best served to take that chance and try to use Adcock, perhaps in that second round game if they can get there. Or I guess they will have a second round game no matter what. But whether it's in the winner's bracket or the loser's bracket, try to use perhaps their top pitcher and take a chance on him.
Squares to bunt, pulls it back, but it is a strike nonetheless to Corey Hassel. Now he takes a breaking ball on the outside, hits the back of the plate for a strike. Quickly 0-2 on Corey Hassel. Hassel 2 for 5 on Thursday, 2 for 6 yesterday. Here's the 0-2 pitch, lifted in the air to right field. White drifting to his left towards the foul line, makes the catch, but 10 steps away from the foul line. There's 2 outs here in the top of the second inning. Coming up is the third baseman, David Petrino. We didn't see him last night. He did DH in that Thursday game, but only was in there for 2 at-bats. He walked to drive in a run in that Thursday game, then got the night off yesterday. He'll take a ball outside, 1-0. The lefty Adcock against the righty Petrino. Adcock goes into his windup and delivers. That one's launched foul into the parking lot. Goes right in front of a moving car, but like he has a little bit of distance there. And Zach, where are you parked today?
A little bit closer than I'd like. I didn't actually have a chance to mention this, but it took me 40 minutes to drive across town today. Got caught with the Ann Arbor construction bug. It's a terrible time of year for that. Nonetheless, I got here. May have broken a few speeding laws to do so, but I am actually parked. You can see the red truck near Oklahoma State's bullpen, right next to the very nice red car. So hopefully the baseball gods favor the fancier car. But yeah, about as close as I've ever parked, I think, for the Michigan baseball game.
So here's the 1-2 pitch. That one's fouled off into that same parking lot. So Zach, already tempting fate early on.
Yeah, I already.
Wait, which one is it? I can't.
So closest to the Oklahoma State bullpen, and it's the red truck next to the red car.
That's considered a truck. I see an SUV.
Okay, you can call it an SUV. I wouldn't call it a super utility vehicle.
1-2 pitch. He got him. The 4th strikeout of the day for Brett Adcock. He's looked good through 2 innings so far. 4 strikeouts for the lefty.
And the strikeouts are great. And that's really going to do a lot of damage because Oklahoma State, they thrive from walks and getting on base and then ultimately just having timely hitting and driving their base runners in. But Bakich probably would prefer if he could just force a little bit more contact, maybe not be too choosy with the spots, just on the fact that Michigan's bullpen's exhausted. And they've got some bullpen pieces that they might want to try to get into the game, but ultimately they've given up 12 runs on Thursday. They gave up 11 last night. This bullpen's done a lot of work. Neither starting pitcher was able to go a lot of innings. Hill chased in the 3rd. Newtoff, I believe it was 4 1/3 innings. And really, that just takes a toll on your bullpen. And Michigan's been using a lot of its options. They have some seniors that they want to get in today. Ogden probably won't see the mound just because he pitched so much last night. But they got a lot of pieces they want in this lineup, but they also want to keep their arms fresh. So Adcock, it's great that he's getting the strikeouts, and I think Bakich will take shutout baseball against the Cowboys as much as he can. But it might be good for him to try to find that control, not be afraid of the contact. You know, not every out has to be a strikeout. You can work efficiently, try to get a ground out here and there, and that just really comes from keeping the ball down.
Well, after he saw the Wolverines pitchers devastated by their defense the first 2 games, maybe he's just trying to do whatever he can to just take it all completely into his own control. And he's done a really good job of striking him. We mentioned that as a problem all weekend for this squad, but he's thrown 18 to 23 pitches so far for strikes. So we'll almost certainly see him back in the 3rd inning. But first up are the Wolverines at the plate in the bottom of the 2nd. Carmen Benedetti leads off here. Reed taking a long look in. Now goes into his windup and delivers. Breaking ball misses low and away.
Looks like Michigan's already getting action in its bullpen.
Looks like Donnie Eaton.
That would make sense. The senior making his final appearance at Ray Fisher Stadium.
That one is a off the end of the bat, going to left field, and a sliding catch by Ryan Sluter. Benedetti did not put his best swing on that ball. Chops it to the opposite field. But Sluter was playing fairly deep, respecting the power of Carmen Benedetti, and had to make a long run, and then makes a nice slide for a catch to the first out here in the bottom of the second.
And looking into that, Eaton, he hasn't started warming up, but it looks like he will momentarily. It might be a move by Bakich. Bakich likes what he sees from Adcock. Might want to keep that arm fresh. You know, he'll take a tired bullpen and potentially a loss here to have Adcock ready for that Wednesday game if he thinks that Adcock can lead the charge for this Michigan staff.
First pitch in there for a strike. Now a shot right back to the pitcher. He's unable to catch it. He crawls over, tries to make the play. But Bruder is safe at first, and we're going to check to see if Reed's all right.
Yeah, that was a scary moment.
Almost made the catch. That would have been spectacular. We're seeing on the replay here, it was just lined right back at him. Got his glove on the ball, but it knocked his glove off.
It took the replay away, but yeah, I mean, thankfully it hit his glove because that's going to probably prevent any major injuries. Looks like he's just a little shaken up. Got a lot of dirt and turf on his arms from that crawl.
Yeah, give Reed credit. Even after he got knocked down, he just tries to crawl. He literally was crawling on the ground on all fours, scoops up the ball, but the time he reached the ball and tried to flip it over to Williams at first, Bruder was already safely there. But he's all right, and I think he might stay in the game. He'll get a few warm-up pitches.
He might just need one just to make sure that everything's working the same way it was before.
And fortunate for Oklahoma State, as they're trying to go through a few pitchers here, keep them all fresh for that Wednesday game. Reed was probably only going to stay in the game. This might have been his last inning. Probably will now, almost certainly. And maybe he'll go one more. We'll see. But I
bet he goes 3. I think it's 2. It's almost bad for your routine and your rhythm that your body's used to if you suddenly aren't pitching. You don't want to run into a rust issue. But I bet 3 innings, and he's out of here, unless he is actually a little bit more shaken up than we thought from that hit.
So Bruder standing on first base. Dustin Williams holding with him there. Kevin White at the plate. Now throw over to first base. Bruder back in with a head first slide. Easily back in safe. Kevin White at the plate waiting for the first pitch still from Remy Reed. Here it comes. Breaking ball misses low and away. White on the series. Only 1 for 7. Also has a walk. He struck out 3 times, so hasn't been at his best so far on Thursday, Friday games. The 1-0 delivery. That one is ripped and off the glove of Donnie Walton. Almost a spectacular play. And there's an infield single for the Wolverines. They have 2 runners on with 1 out here in the bottom of the second.
I think even though neither of these plays have really been clean base hits by the Wolverines, they've both bounced off gloves. Almost another excellent play by Donnie Walton. He's really shown the defense and flashed some leather in this weekend series. But nonetheless, 2 consecutive hard hit balls, line drives by the Wolverines. And if you're Eric Bakich, whose team has only scored 7 runs in these 2 games, not all of them earned even, you have to like what you've seen so far, just more hard hit balls and starting to look a little bit more like the offense that was the Big Ten's best throughout the season.
Reed will check Bruder on second, now deliver home. Breaking ball in there at the knees to Kendall Patrick. He's in the 7 hole today. White standing on first after that infield single off the glove of Donnie Walton. Almost made an absolutely spectacular play as he is a right-hander, had to go across his body with his glove as he moved to his right. Almost made the play, but it popped out and trickled into the outfield grass that allowed White to reach. The 0-1 is a breaking ball low and away. Evens the count at 1-1 on Kendall Patrick. He'll step out, get the signs, get ready to dig back in. Righty Patrick against the righty Reed. Outfield, a little deeper than average step, straight up, all around. Bruder on second, White on first. Reed will check Bruder. Check him again. Now come home. Runners are off. The run and hit was on. but it is fouled straight back into the screen, 1-2.
I was going to make fun of Reed for checking on Bruder with a very short lead, but I guess he knew something I didn't. Knew that they were looking at a double steal hit and run attempt. Good thought with Patrick at the plate. He can make contact when he needs to. But
yeah, we saw the Wolverines do that. Where actually we saw them just go for the double steal yesterday in the 5th inning. They ended up getting double steal, getting Cronenworth down to third, Glines to second, knocking both of those guys in, take a 5-4 lead, and then it all fell apart after that. 1-2 pitch just misses outside. Patrick was frozen on that one, but that one missed a little bit too far outside. 2-2. Patrick will get the signs again. With 2 strikes, Hassel will shade a little bit towards right center. Bruder on second, White on first. 1 out here in the bottom of the second. Now Reed will step off. Hector Gutierrez waiting on deck. Reed checks the runner, now delivers. There's a line drive base hit into center field. Bruder will be held up at third. Base is loaded here with 1 out for the Wolverines.
And this is something that Michigan's really been missing all series. They were able to plate across 5 runs yesterday, which is probably more than they can normally expect against Oklahoma State. But just piecing the at-bats together, and that's, if you talk to Bakich, he'll mention it about every 30 seconds. And not even when he's not prompted, this might be the end of Reed's day, but just piecing the quality at-bats together, hitting the ball hard in consecutive appearances, that's really what it takes to win. It can't just be isolated hits, because teams of Michigan's past have collected 10 hits, but they've only played it across 1 or 2 runs, and it can just really derail a team that even though they're statistically performing well, they're just not getting the wins that they need. And it's really piecing them together that equates to success. And I think that's really what Bakich is preaching right now. And Reed, surprisingly struggling. A couple of them, not really his fault, but that's 3 consecutive hard-hit balls by 3 hitters. They're solid hitters, but they're at the bottom of the order. They're not necessarily the cream of the crop.
Do you think he's a little shaken up from when we took the foul ball and knocked him down, or is it just good hitting by the Wolverines?
I think it's really just good hitting. His velocity hasn't dipped it very much. His control is still there. I just think the Wolverines, I don't know, maybe it's the earlier in the day appearance. They're just feeling a little bit more comfortable, but the swings are just a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more aggressive, and they're leading to harder hit balls.
And a big opportunity here for the Wolverines. 1 out. Bases loaded. Bruder on third, White on second, Patrick on first. Not the best speed on the base pass for the Wolverines, but they want to get some early runs here. There's a ground ball shortstop. Walton scoops it up, flips to second. That's all they'll get. And Gutierrez is safe at first. A run will score on the fielder's choice. So Gutierrez avoids the double play ground out, hit it just soft enough to Donnie Walton that wasn't able to turn 2. That was close at first base, but
I mean,
Gutierrez
was
safe by about a step and a half.
Yeah, comfortably safe. And for Michigan fans, thank goodness, because leaving runners on base, especially this early on in the game, is a really tragic sign. Man, they got the T-shirt toss going. It's quite popular today.
Yeah, this guy's been clowning around a little bit. He typically makes eye contact with someone and then tosses in a complete opposite direction. So you got to be alert if you're in the stands and you want to get a T-shirt. A Michigan student intern having a little bit of fun working for the athletic department. 2 outs here, runners at the corners. Eric Jacobson getting a start here on senior day. He's been arguably one of the more used reserves here for the Wolverines.
I wouldn't have considered him a starter until about a week ago, and I'm not entirely sure what happened. I just don't think he was getting his on-base percentage up where he needed it to be, but he's been a huge contributor to this Wolverine lineup, always, at least throughout the first 45 games of the season. Really brought a lot to that 9-hole, able to get on base, has some speed, can lay a bunt down if something's happening, can do a lot of things at the plate more than just hitting. Bakich calls him the Wolverines' most selfless player.
See 2 throwers to first base to drive Gutierrez back. Gutierrez 1 for 1 on stolen bases. Does have above average speed.
According to Bakich's dad, who's probably in the stands, was a very selfless player for the Wolverines himself years ago.
0-1 pitch fouled off. That one was well off the plate, but Jacobson took a cut anyway, fouls it into the screen. 0-2. Wolverines lead 1-0 here in the bottom of the second. They're looking for more. They got runners at the corners with 2 outs now. A RBI fielder's choice by Hector Gutierrez a few moments ago gets 1 run in. White itching to come home from third. Now another throw over to first base. Almost got him. Gutierrez was taking a sizable lead. The Wolverines, one of their favorite plays is with 2 outs if they have runners at the corners to try and steal second base and get 2 runners in a scoring position. We'll see if Gutierrez is thinking that. He's taking another sizable lead over at first base. Another throw over. That time he gets back in rather easily.
And for Gutierrez, you have to be careful here. I mean, more important than the steal, you don't want to be the third out. You don't want to kill a rally with a runner on third in the top of the order waiting on deck. You want to just stay on base, stay the course, and really just try to let your hitters make the runs happen.
We have seen that play a lot, though, where they try and get the second runner in scoring position. But Gutierrez stays put for now. There's a ball up to Jacobson, makes it 1-2.
Yeah, I just think if Oklahoma State's on it, you know, it's one thing if it's a team's kind of just lazing or more or less letting it happen. But if Oklahoma State's really on top of things and really sharp, you don't want to be the third out on the base paths if you're Hector.
Gutierrez taking a little shorter lead, but he is off, and that one's rolled over by Jacobson to Donnie Welton. He will make the play, fire over to first base. Williams had to lunge for that one, but holds on, and there's the third out. So Wolverines get 1 in the bottom of the second. They take a 1-0 lead as we head to the top of the third. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball. Andrew Hausman alongside Zach Shaw on the call.
Yeah, only 1 run, 2 runners left on base, not desirable statistics for the Wolverines, but you have to be pleased with how hard they're hitting the ball. Just making good contact, and it only gets easier. My assumption based on the pitch count, Reed, if he comes out for another inning, it won't be for long. It won't necessarily be as long of a leash as he would normally get as a starter, and then you can work into that bullpen. And Oklahoma State has a good bullpen. They have a strong pitching staff in general. But the further down the depth chart you go, the better chance you have to get some hits. Obviously, Michigan's going to try to work in their seniors as well, but good opportunity. If you're already hitting the ball hard, it's a good omen for the rest of this game.
So coming up to face Brett Adcock in his third inning of work will be the 7, 8, 9 hitters, Sluter, Williams, McCain. We've seen all of these players so far. Sluter in the Thursday night game then didn't appear yesterday.
Now, Ben, hold up your hand. If you think Ben was the better dancer, let's hear it.
Adcock's looked sharp so far. 4 strikeouts in 2 innings of work. Only 23 pitches, 18 of those for strikes. So Wolverines really struggled, particularly last night, as Matt Ogden was the only pitcher with significantly more than half of his pitches for strikes. We saw Newdoff, the starter, getting just over 50%, and then Lozier and Paul both exactly 50% of their pitches in for strikes. Never a good sign. As we mentioned, 11 walks each of the last 2 days for the Wolverines, and that's really been what's hurt them so far. Also, their defense has been weak, but in the first 2 innings so far, Adcock has only given up 2 balls in play. The Wolverines have made the outs, and now we get to face the 7, 8, 9 hitters right here. Try and keep the momentum going for the Wolverines. Shutdown inning huge at the Wolverines. Got ahead 1-0. First pitch, breaking ball in for a strike. 0-1 to Ryan Sluter.
And looking at the control issues, I talked to Bakich last night. He counts passed balls, wild pitches that advance runners as well. He estimated that last night they had 20 free passes that were due to the pitching staff. As Adcock fires in a strike there to go ahead 0-2. But really, 20 free passes is simply unacceptable.
Yeah, nice breaking ball there, as you mentioned. Sluter with a very closed stance, trying to hit the ball to the opposite field. Takes the next pitch outside. Fastball misses well away. 1-2. He'll dig back into that righty batter's box to face the lefty Adcock. Here comes the 1-2 pitch. Misses just a little bit low. Draws a few jeers from the limited crowd here. Can't say expect too many fans here in attendance.
Smallest crowd of the weekend, I believe, which is interesting because it's the nicest day and a weekend.
That one just got a piece of that one by Sluter. It looked like he had swung and missed, but able to foul that one right into the ground and stay alive. 2-2 on Ryan Sluter, leadoff batter here at the top of the third. Wolverines lead 1-0 here on Senior Day. 2-2 pitch. He got him looking. The 5th strikeout of the day for Brett Adcock sends Ryan Sluter to sulk back into that Cowboys dugout. Coming up is Dustin Williams.
Adcock looking about as sharp as I've seen him, and I've seen some impressive. The double-digit strikeouts, he's done it 4 times in his career. Certainly has a propensity to be dominant at times, but really, this is about as good as it gets. He's just picking his spots at this point.
Thiller's first pitch to Dustin Williams, picks his spot there. Strike, fastball on the inside corner, right at the knees. That's a hard one to do much damage with. 0-1 on Dustin Williams. Breaking ball just misses outside. That one had good late movement on it and breaks just a little bit too much. Goes outside. 1-1 on Dustin Williams. Williams 2 for 2 in the game last night. Also 4 walks, so reached base all 6 times. Impressive performance for the first baseman. Now he watches the strike go by, and he's down 1-2 here. 1 out here in the top of the 3rd inning for the Wolverines. They lead 1-0. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Missed a little bit outside, 2-2. Adcock pitched well last Sunday against Northwestern. 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, only 1 earned run. 3 walks and 4 strikeouts. Delivers 2-2 pitch. He got him looking again. Strikeout number 6 for Brett Adcock, and we're only in the 3rd.
Yeah, he got a little antsy there, started running toward the dugout before the rest of the team reminded him that there are 3 outs in an inning. But, yeah, obviously he is in his zone right now, in his own world where there's only 2 outs in an inning, but also where no one can touch his stuff, and really absolutely dealing.
They'll bring up the number 9 hitter, Garrett McCain. McCain did not appear in that game last night, was a pinch hitter, and actually came in as a defensive replacement first for Sluter in that Thursday game, and then to get 1 at-bat. Unable to reach base, and that one actually ended up striking out. Takes the first pitch for a ball, now fouls it off. Little dribbler down the first base side that gets right by the Cowboys dugout. 1-1 on Garrett McCain. 304 average in part-time play. 21 for 69 on the year. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Just a little bit low. 2-1. 2 outs here in the top of the 3rd. Brett Adcock has been sensational so far. 6 strikeouts of the first 8. He gets a strike there, levels the count at 2-2 to Garrett McCain, the DH in the number 9 hole for the Cowboys here today. Not much wind here at Ray Fisher Stadium. Here's the 2-2 delivery. That one's grounded. Diving stop there by Cronenworth. He'll try to flip it over to Adcock covering, but it will not be in time. So the Cowboys' first hit of the day is courtesy of Garrett McCain. It'll be an infield single. Cronenworth couldn't corral that one cleanly, and then really had no chance to make the flip to Adcock covering on the play. So Cronenworth will cover with McCain. McCain has picked his spots well in stolen bases, 5 for 5. Gage Green will come up to the plate. He's 0 for 1 on the day. He was 2 for 4 yesterday with 2 RBIs, 0 for 3 in the game on Thursday. Adcock checks the run, he'll throw over. McCain was barely off the bag and get back in standing up.
That was a weird one.
Yeah, that was not his number 1 move. I think say more.
No,
like
absolutely
number 2.
not. But still, just a weird decision. He's about 2 steps off the base.
Breaking ball misses up. 1-0 to Gage Green. Bivens looks like he's watching for a possible bunt from Gage Green. Green with very good speed, 17 of 20 in stolen bases on the year. We saw him swipe one yesterday. 1-0 pitch, break ball, hits the top of the zone. Got to be careful with those. We saw Newdorf throwing a lot of those yesterday, and some of those came back to hurt him, including the home run off of the bat of the player on deck right now, Donnie Walton, who leveled the game in the second yesterday with a 2-run home run off the scoreboard. Another throw over to first base. Drive McCain back in once again, standing up. He's barely off the bag. The 2 outs here. Adcock's got to focus on the batter. Checks the runner, checks him again. Now delivers home. 1-1. Swing and a miss. Fastball upstairs. Clearly, the scouting report on Gage Green is to attack up in the zone. All 3 pitches have been up. Then when he took a big cut and came up with nothing but air, it's 1-2 on Gage Green here. Adcock checks the runner, checks him again. A throw over. Interesting because McCain less than a body length off the bag.
Yeah, I'm not sure what can be gained from a pickoff attempt. That you have no chance of getting him unless he falls over. Which even then he might fall on top of the bag.
Unless he'll throw over again. I don't know what's going on here. McCain is barely off that bag. Cronenworth holding with him there.
And there's 2 outs. You're 1 pitch away from ending the inning.
He wants to get out there a little longer. Maybe he thinks his teammates will forget as Green fouls someone off down the left field line. Maybe his teammates will forget that he tried to walk off with 2 outs. So he's just trying to extend the inning.
Oh, he's embarrassed.
I think he's just trying to salvage some of his pride here. And they'll be like, then they'll ask him, why were you throwing so many pickoffs instead of why are you trying to walk off?
Right. Yeah, you know, it's like when you injure one shoulder and your friend punches the other one, so you forget about the first injury.
Exactly. 1-2 here to Gage Green. Here's the delivery. Breaking ball. Ooh.
Adcock thought he had his 7th strikeout there, just outside. I think the fans thought he had the punch out too.
I think you did too.
Maybe. No comment.
McCain takes his very short lead off first base. Jacobson shaded towards the hole there. Another throw over. Zach, it's only the 3rd.
I know, and I'm already exhausted. Michigan, so many pickoff attempts last night as well. And I get that Oklahoma State runs a lot, but, you know, it just really slows down the game and takes your fans out of it.
McCain is off, but there's a swing and a miss. Strikeout number 7. We head to the bottom of the 3rd. Wolverines lead 1-0. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball. Andrew Hausman alongside Zach Shaw on the call. Adcock has looked very, very good so far. Hasn't given up any hard contact. The only hit was an infield single just on a play that was tough for Cronenworth or really any first baseman to make. McCain reached. We saw a number of pickoff throws, but Adcock able to get out of it with his 7th strikeout of the day. We head to the bottom of the 3rd. It'll be the Wolverines 1, 2, 3 hitters coming up. Cronenworth, Bivens, Glines. They went quietly in the 1st. What are you looking for as Reed returns to the mound here?
Well, I think Michigan needs to continue things. Obviously, Reed's going to throw strikes. The opportunity to hit the ball hard is going to be there. And with the top of the order ready to rock here, you know, all year they've been very consistent. Batting averages for really these top 5 hitters seems to hover in that 320 to 360 range. Mays is out of the lineup, so that hurts it a little bit. But Cronenworth, Bivens, and Glines are about as good of a top 3 hitters as you'll find, not just in the Big Ten, maybe even in the country. I think they contend there. Carmen Benedetti, not a bad cleanup hitter as well.
Mr. RBI.
Yes, Mr. RBI, as we call him. And, you know, the 3 batting average hovering around 370 certainly doesn't hurt either. So I think it's up to them just to recognize strikes are going to come. You know, Reed's not going to overpower you. And really any pitcher that's in there isn't going to overpower you if you're these 4 guys. And so they need to just come out swinging, come out aggressive, and try to hit the ball hard.
So first up is Cronenworth. Grounding out to short his first time up. He'll step into that lefty batter's box to face off against the righty Remy Reed. He have only his 5th earned run of the year. Last inning.
What's the ERA at now?
Over 1.
Wow. Rattled.
Well, I think he was physically rattled by that shot
Yes, that's fair.
off the bat of Cody Bruder. That's when it all started to go wrong for Bruder. Gave up 3 straight hits, then a RBI fielder's choice off Gutierrez, and was able to get out of the inning from a soft ground out from Eric Jacobson. He deals a strike here to Cronenworth. He's ahead 0-1. Petrino, the third baseman today, about a step off the infield grass, looking for a potential bunt attempt by Cronenworth. Cronenworth not pleased with that call by Pete Pedersen, the home plate umpire.
Yeah, if you throw strikes as consistently as Reed does, you're going to get the benefit of the doubt on some calls. If they were close, the umpire is going to assume it's a strike.
0-2 pitch. That one's
Not
very high.
Not quite going to get the benefit of the doubt on that one.
1-2 on Jacob Cronenworth. Reed trying to work very quickly. Cronenworth stepped out of the lefty batter's box to take some time and slow him down. Now he lifts that one high in the air to center field. Hassel tracking back. He will make the catch. Cronenworth gave that one a ride. That one got only about 15 feet from the wall.
Yeah, I think he got under a little bit more than he'd like. And, you know, talk to Bakich. He doesn't want this team to be a power hitting team. They have a lot more home runs than they did last year. They have more home runs than they've had since 2010. But his favorite hits of the line drives, obviously that one, because, you know, as he's mentioned multiple times, you can't control where in the park you're necessarily going to hit it. You can have some say. You can't control how the wind's going to act. And really getting the line drives is the safest bet to getting yourself on base.
Yeah, and Cronenworth did miss one to hit there. He had one, and he got the solid contact on it, but just got, as you mentioned, a little too far underneath it, and just a long fly out for the first out here in the bottom of the third. Bivens takes one outside, now inside. 2-0. Petrino still worry of a bunt down there at third base. Outfield playing the lefty. Bivens go the opposite way. That one misses up. 3-0. Reed's only walked 11 batters in 41 2/3 inning pitched. He's been very, very good for this Cowboys team. The 3-0 delivery. There's a strike at the knees on the inside corner. 3-1 on Jake Bivens. Jackson Lions standing on deck. Here's a 3-1 pitch. That one's grounded into the hole between first and second base. So that's a base hit for Jake Bivens. Extend his hitting streak to 14 games for the freshman.
Man, he is just something else. It's not a super powerful hit or anything. It's, you know, he's not going to bash it up against the wall every time. It's just little pokes here and there, finding the right place where that ball can land, where he can find himself on base, but he's doing it with incredible regularity.
Incredible regularity indeed. 14 games with hits in a row for Jake Bivens, batting over 500 in that stretch. Only 2 extra base hits in that entire stretch. So as you mentioned, not bashing the ball at all, but just finding spots. And as Jackson Lions takes a breaking ball strike at the knees, just finding his spots. And I was really surprised where Williams was positioned on that play. It was playing very close to the line. If he was even in a normal position for a first baseman, I think he would have had a chance, but he was so close to the line, really had no play on the ball at all, and that's a RBI ground out. That's lifted high in the air to right field, going back. That is way out of here, off the scoreboard. Second home run of the weekend for Jackson Glines. Wolverines lead 3-0.
And Glines peaking at the right time. His batting average isn't quite what it was before, but really all of his hits in the past 2-3 weeks have just been mashed. He is really coming to play at the end of the season, and obviously his last time playing at the Fish, he only got 2 seasons because he was at junior college, but he's sure making these 2 seasons count for the Wolverines.
And he is just launching them. His home run yesterday was very questionable. Talking to Coach Josh Holliday after the game yesterday, he still swears that Glines' home run yesterday was a foul ball. He said he saw the TV replay and he was convinced. But this one was a no-doubter. Bounces off the scoreboard. Matches the impressive performance of Donnie Walton yesterday.
Yeah, if you bounce it off the scoreboard, it's usually a home run.
I don't know how it wouldn't be.
Yeah, it's always a home run. Maybe ground rule double.
Fair enough. 1-0 misses. First pitch misses outside. Now 2-0 misses. Excuse me. First pitch outside, second pitch low. 2-0 on Carmen Benedetti. Wolverines looking to add more here.
Reed now struggling with control. Perhaps a little bit more flustered than usual. They've put up 3 runs in 2 1/3 innings against a guy who's given up 4 runs all year. So
now 7.
Yep.
And then he deals a 4-pitch walk to Carmen Benedetti. I think that could be the end of the day for Remy Reed. Haven't seen Josh
Keep our
Holiday.
eyes open, but
They certainly have the pitchers warmed up as another pitcher trots out there to the bullpen.
yeah, man, they really keep a large bullpen out there.
Yeah.
And
Bullpen squadron.
it was only 5 or 6 members out there at the beginning of the game, but probably grown to about 8 to 10. But still,
Yeah, the Cowboys have
Seems a
such
little
a
excessive.
large roster. You look at their roster, they have about 5 or 6 more players than the Wolverines, but their dugout looks empty because they're all in the bullpen. That brings up Cody Bruder. He's 1 for 1 on the day.
yeah, and you mentioned the large roster. Big 12 and SEC, they have a field day with large baseball rosters, a huge benefit to them because they recruit a lot of in-state guys, and if you have those in-state tuition, suddenly your scholarships, you can spread them out more. You can have more people join the team. In-state tuition isn't very much at Oklahoma State either, so you have a lot of guys who are perfectly willing to walk onto the team, and ultimately they have a little bit looser restrictions as far as how many people they can have on the team. The Michigan baseball team often has to have people who are technically on the team, but they're not officially on the roster all season. Dominic Jamette is an example of a player who used to be that way and worked his way onto the team, but just huge advantage for the Big 12 and SEC schools.
And Eddie's on first, 1 out. Bruder lines that one to the left field, and that falls for a base hit. Benedetti will have to hold up at second. Wolverines continue to hit Reed hard. I'm stunned by looking at Reed's numbers from what we heard from Holiday. Reed, shutdown pitcher. I don't know what's wrong with him, but he's still in the game. 1 out here in the bottom of the third. Wolverines lead 3-0. They're looking for more.
Well, I think Michigan fans, they're surprised. I'm surprised. People in the stands are a little surprised too, but this is kind of expected. You have a good pitching staff going up against a good hitting. Someone's got to give. It's not necessarily going to be pitching every single time. Sometimes the hitters just bring their A game. The sun shines on the Wolverines' backs, and they can do impressive things. But, yeah, certainly you have to like what they've seen just from the hard-hit balls.
Kevin White checks his swing on the first pitch from Reed. Benedetti on second. Bruder on first. 1 out here in the bottom of the third. Earlier, Bivens singled and Glines homeward. That gave the Wolverines a 3-0 lead. Then Benedetti walked on 4 pitches. Bruder delivered a single. Now here's a big swing and a miss from Kevin White. Evens the count of 1-1. He'll step out, get the sign. Oklahoma State outfield playing fairly deep, respecting the pop in this bat. Only 1 for 7 on the series, also 1 walk. Susie, 2 for 8 now after the hit in the second inning. Reed checks the runner, now comes home. Swing and a miss. This is looking like shades of the old Kevin White. Undisciplined at the plate. 1-2. Benedetti takes a short lead off second. Bruder with a little more sizable lead at first. That pitch is lifted high in the air to center field. Hassel tracking back. He'll make the catch. Benny's going to tag up and try and go to third. He'll make it easily without a throw. So a long fly ball out for Kevin White. That's the second out of the inning. That will leave it up to Kendall Patrick, looking to deliver some RBIs here on Senior Day. Patrick singled in that second inning. That loaded the bases for the Wolverines. Then Hector Gutierrez was able to get the Wolverines' first run of the game in on that RBI Feeler Stories. Are you surprised Reed's still in this game?
No, I think Oklahoma State, they don't really gain much from this game other than just getting people ready for the Big 12. And so if they can get Reed some pitches, I don't think he's going to pitch in that first game. I think you have to go with Freeman if you're Coach Holiday. It doesn't hurt to let him work through struggles. He hasn't had to do it all season. He probably will have to if Oklahoma State wants to make a run. He's going to face some really good offenses down the road. So I think it's a little surprising, but I don't think it's a real shocker as he can finish this inning with really just 1 pitch or 1 out.
Kendall Patrick took a bad swing there, tried to check his swing, but went well around. 0-1. Benedetti now moved up to third, tagged up on that long fly ball out off the bat of Kevin White. Bruder on first. Runners in the corners for the Wolverines with 2 outs. Outfield very deep all around on Kendall Patrick. Takes the next pitch outside, 1-1. Reed comes set. That one's fouled off down the first base line, making a bid for Zach's car, but doesn't quite make it there.
No, it doesn't.
We'll keep you updated all game long.
I thought we said the joke was dead like 2 weeks ago. Last week.
Yeah, but that was when your car wasn't there. Normally you're smarter than to park so close to the field.
I was pretty low on time and options.
Ground ball to short, scooped up by Walden. He'll flip over to first base. They get Patrick easily. That's the third out, but the Wolverines get 2 more. Another home run from Jackson Glines gives the Wolverines a 3-0 lead. We get to the top of the 4th. You'll see WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball. Andrew Hausman alongside Zach Shaw on the call.
Yeah, and 3 runs, pretty good. You know, they've left 4 runners on base already, which is something that might come back to haunt Michigan. But right now, it looks pretty good, and that's about as good as you can expect to get from Remy Reed. And, you know, who came in with a .92 ERA, as you said, really just dominant stuff all season. And I guess now we have a new pitcher on the mound, and we have a battle of the bullpen. And Andrew, what's it going to take for Michigan to win this, I guess, battle of the bullpens?
Well, I think we'll see. It'll really depend on what arms Coach Beckett chooses to go with. We see Donnie Eaton getting some time on senior day. He hasn't been that consistent all year long. That's a pick up where Brett Adcock left off. A absolutely sparkling performance. 7 strikeouts, records 9 outs, and keeping that arm fresh. As you mentioned, he might get the call on Wednesday. Based on how the 3 Wolverines pitchers have looked this series, I would not be surprised if Adcock got the call on Wednesday. He looked really good against what the Cowboys have shown could be not necessarily a potent offense, but a very consistent offense. They get runners on base, and then they make you pay for mistakes. Adcock didn't make a lot of mistakes, only allowed 1 hit over 3 innings. His day is done, and he'll be fresh. He'll be ready to go perhaps on Wednesday or maybe Thursday. So we'll see which arms Coach Beckett chooses to go with. As you mentioned, his bullpen is pretty taxed right now. We saw Jasky go 2 2/3 on Thursday. Then Wysocki threw 14 pitches. I think he could go again here today. So we could see Cam Wysocki. Vancino's probably done, as is Matt Ogden. We could see more out of Lozier and Paul, but you also want to keep those arms fresh, as those will be some of the top arms coming out of the bullpen. So we'll see who he chooses to go with. He chooses to go with some of the backup arms. We could see Cronenworth try and get an appearance in, because he hasn't pitched in a little bit of time. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Cronenworth coming in, especially if the Wolverines can hold on to this lead, get him a save opportunity as the Wolverines head into the Big Ten tournament.
And Benedetti hasn't made too many appearances as of late, but surprisingly, Beckett still lists him as one of the go-to guys. He's in the designated hitter spot. So certainly options still available, but you have to, at this point on a Saturday when you're playing perhaps the biggest game of the season on Wednesday, you want to make sure you're being, I guess, even with your resources. But nonetheless, Donnie Eaton, the grandson of Don Canham and the son of Dave Brandon's roommate in college, also named Donnie Eaton, takes the mound. He'll fire a strike against the other Donnie in the baseball game, Donnie Walton. Walton obviously had the home run and had himself a good day yesterday. Shown some leather at shortstop, but he has a strikeout in the first inning today. Second pitch away to even the count at 1.
Yeah, he's an up and down inning or up and down series defensively. He made an error yesterday. He almost made a spectacular play today. That one got off his glove and allowed the Wolverines to score their first run of the game.
The 1-1 pitch fouled right off the cement of the backstop.
Yeah, popped straight up in the air. That was interesting.
And Michigan's already got more action in the bullpen. Looks like at least one left-hander. And Eaton gets things started with a strikeout. Donnie takes down Donnie on 4 pitches.
You think it was like this game was over in the top of the 9th, and the Wolverines are just finishing things off. That's a strikeout against a dangerous hitter.
Oh, are you saying I should be more excited?
I thought you should be maybe a little more excited.
You know, Don Eaton's kind of an unassuming pitcher. He's not going to usually blow past you. So it's just kind of, I don't know. I mean, I've reached out and tried to get feedback from some of our listeners. They say we get a little too excited over the little things. Second pitch, high and outside, ball 2, 2-0 count. The 2-0 pitch, in there, strike 1. The 2-1 delivery.
Breeze starting to pick up a little bit here, blowing from left to right, but the flag out there in center field just gusting it a little bit.
That pitch was away. The 3-1 pitch, and he walked him on 5 pitches.
And Arakawa has shown the ability to draw a walk. He hasn't had it all together at the plate this series, as he's only 2 for 8 on the series, but he's drawn a number of walks. 3 walks now, number 4.
And the next batter up, Connor Costello, the right fielder. He's really struggled in this series. His batting average is now down to 250, and he struck out in the second inning. Eaton with 1 on, 1 out. Arakawa hints at a steal. That ball almost got by Patrick. And Patrick's going to go out and talk to Eaton, who's now thrown 5 balls in his last 6 pitches.
And let's not forget, Arakawa is a base stealing threat. He's 9 of 13 on the year. And Cronenworth will come in and join the conference as well, so contributing a little bit of his pitching experience. But now home plate umpire Pete Pedersen will trot out and break up that discussion. It's actually more of a saunter than a trot.
Glad you're able to break that down.
Do whatever we can to break down all the details here at Ray Fisher Stadium. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball.
1 ball, no strike on Costello. Arakawa takes a big secondary, but no steal, and that pitch is in there for a strike.
Costello also with a up and down series. 0 for 5 yesterday with a walk, but had a nice Thursday night with the home run, and then the bases clearing, I guess, error, single, and then error, but got the job done with the bases loaded to put the game completely out of reach on Thursday night.
Costello with a big swing and a miss. Make the count 1-2. Eaton just a pitch away from his 14th strikeout of the season. He steps off. Arakawa inching to a bigger lead, trying to catch Eaton napping. Donnie was awake and alert.
Bruder very deep in left field. That's where Costello has his most power as a righty pull hitter.
The 1-2 pitch, he's swinging a miss. And Costello really continuing to struggle. He has a second strikeout of the day. Had quite a few yesterday. Just not getting the job done in that 3-hole.
That will leave it up to Corey Hassel. He's 0 for 1 on the day.
Pop out to Kevin White out in right field.
2 for 6 yesterday. 2 for 5 on Thursday.
First pitch of the at-bat is high. Almost. Patrick had to shift. The umpire shifted out of the way, and Hassel stepped out of the batter's box to try to get away from that pitch. 2 down. Arakawa on first.
Wouldn't be surprised if he was moving here.
The 1-0 pitch. Arakawa stays put. Still high. Ball 2.
Well, Eaton getting some encouraging cheers from the Wolverines faithful.
Eaton, a hometown kid, as we mentioned, a lot of Michigan in his bloodlines. Born and raised in Ann Arbor. The 2-0 pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 1. But his family has really made a point to come to as many games as possible over the 4 years, even though he was really not much more than a pinch runner. I think he only made 2 or 3 appearances his freshman year. Didn't see much time there, and slowly he's worked his way into the lineup as he gets a swing and a miss for strike 2, and he's now just a pitch away from striking out the side.
Yeah, not known as a strikeout pitcher. As you mentioned, only 14 strikeouts on the year. Does have right about a strikeout inning in limited time here this year, 17 2/3 innings pitched. But just not someone that's going to overpower you.
The 2-2 pitch. Strike 3, swing and a miss, and Donnie Eaton strikes out the top of Oklahoma State's order. Strikes out the side, and Michigan still holding on to that 3-0 lead. You're listening to the WCBN Sports broadcast. WCBN Sports, your student voice of Michigan athletics. I'm Zach Shaw, and joining me in the booth is Andrew Hausman. And Adcock had 7 strikeouts in the first 3 innings. Donnie Eaton had 3 in the 4th inning. So Oklahoma State already with 10 strikeouts, just 4 innings in. What can you make of this?
I got to say I'm surprised. This is a team, they're a patient team at the plate. They've shown that the last 2 days are 22 walks over 2 days. And I'm not going to say this is the fault of the Cowboys. I'm going to give credit to the Wolverines pitchers. They've done a good job mixing up the eye level and just throwing strikes. I mentioned that a lot over the first 2 games. The Wolverines couldn't hit the zone. But here they have done a really good job throwing a lot of strikes. And we saw a impressive performance of Adcock throwing 32 of 45 pitches for strike. That time, Eaton struck out the side, throwing 10 of 18 pitches for strike. So able to get the job done so far. And I'm going to give more credit to the Wolverines pitching staff than say the Cowboys are having an off day here.
Well, it'll be 8-9-1 for the Wolverines after they did pretty well in the previous inning. They scored 2 runs in the 3rd to go with their 1 run in the 2nd. Getting up against Remy Reed, who's out for his 4th inning of work, out on the field, not out of the game. He'll stay out there. His batting average his earned run average has ballooned to 1.49. Really struggling on the day.
Well, he has 3 earned runs on the day. He only has given up 4 earned runs coming into this game. So, but one area he had struggled with, he's given up 3 home runs, and when you only give up 4 earned runs, that kind of stands out. So he's made a few mistakes, and the batters have made him pay. That's what Jackson Lyons did last inning. Launched it off the scoreboard. They gave the Wolverines a 3-0 lead. They're looking to add more here. We're still waiting on the TV timeout, thanks to our counterparts.
Throwing shade again, just like last Saturday. But, yeah, as you mentioned, Arakawa only 28 strikeouts in 42 1/3 innings. Not going to overpower people, and Michigan taking advantage. Hector Gutierrez steps up to the plate. He watches strike 1. Leadoff hitters are batting .324 against Remy Reed. Gutierrez grounds it foul near first base. Dustin Williams able to scoop it up in foul territory for strike 2.
Gutierrez getting his 4th consecutive start at shortstop. That's been due to the foot injury of Travis Mazes. Travis Mazes getting another day off. He played on Thursday, then was removed early in the game and rested up all series for the rest of the series, trying to get healthy. And do you expect to see him back on Wednesday?
I'll get to it after the pitch. The 0-2 delivery, low and away. I talked to Bax last night. It's actually a knee injury. It's the same knee injury that's been bothering him all year. There were thoughts that he didn't tear his MCL, but perhaps tore it in a minor way. And Gutierrez grounds it to Dustin Williams and bounces off his foot. And Gutierrez is on with, we'll see if they call it a hit or an error, but he's on first base nonetheless. Yeah, there were rumors of just how bad it was, whether he would need surgery. He's still trying to at least consider the Major League Baseball draft this summer. So he was hoping to get a full season in. He's still struggling. Bax didn't seem optimistic. He may come in off the bench today, and he may play Wednesday, but my guess is that they're probably going to sit him out of the Big Ten tournament unless they really think that they have a chance to accomplish something and he can contribute to that accomplishment, because it really is just about what percentage can you play at. Is that percentage good enough to compete or to help the Wolverines win?
Yeah, as he showed on Thursday, he still has something to contribute at the plate, but just really can't get it done defensively or on the base pass right now. So we'll see. It might be a late inning pinch hitter.
And Eric Jacobson lays down the sacrifice bunt. It advances Hector Gutierrez over to second. And now with 1 out, and a runner in scoring position. That brings up the top of the order. Man, the top of the order looks good. 341, 351, 350, 366.
That's Jacobson's 7th sacrifice of the year. As you mentioned, a very selfless player able to get the job done again, move Gutierrez into scoring position. Cronenworth 0 for 2 on the day, so average now down to 338. And the conference on the mound, I think that's probably going to be the end of the day.
It
Remy
sure
Reed.
is. They send their bullpen guy in.
He gets welcomed by the Beatles' help as another runner in
You have
scoring
an
position.
ambient mic on. They can gather that.
Just helping our listeners out, you know.
All right, fair enough.
We're here to tell the story and painting the whole ballpark experience. We tell you the adventures of the foul balls here at Ray Fisher Stadium. And as I mentioned, it's not something you really notice, and you kind of wonder why it doesn't happen in more baseball broadcasts. But I had the opportunity alongside Jeremy Parks to broadcast the Clash of Comerica between the Wolverines and the Michigan State Spartans, and you're at a completely different level at Comerica Park and Major League Ballpark, and it's just a much bigger experience. The stands here hold, about 2,500 compared to 43,000. So it's a lot different experience in a smaller ballpark like this, and a little more intimate setting allows us to describe a few more details on just exactly what occurs here at the ballpark.
Well, the new pitcher is going to be Tyler Nerdin. Nerdin comes in with a 2-3 record, almost as many innings pitched as Reed had, so he's had some opportunities. Just Tyler Nerdin, the nerd, as Andrew Hausman signaled to me. But 41 1/3 innings pitched, 38 hits, 14 earned runs for an ERA of 3.05, 1.39 whip, 31 strikeouts, 19 walks, and 7 extra base hits allowed. So statistically, not quite what Remy Reed brought, but what do you think of Nerdin and his belonging in this game?
Well, he's got some interesting notes as well. If you look at the game notes, he's majoring in business. His dream job is to own a Fortune 500 company, and his favorite athlete, Clayton Kershaw, so trying to take after another exceptional pitcher. So interesting notes from Tyler Nerdin, and I think he can get the job done on the mound as well. He's had a bit of an up and down year. 305, obviously you mentioned his ERA. A little bit worse in Big 12 play, 357. He's been a spot starter as well, like Reed, where he's started 3 games. So the Cowboys have very clear top 2 in this rotation, that being Freeman and Parrott. And in that third spot, they've used a variety of pitchers, Reed, Nerdin, and also Buffett and LaRue. And talking to Holiday, we definitely could see Buffett and LaRue as well in this game. I wouldn't be surprised to get them some action going into Wednesday's Big 12 tournament opener. So all these guys spot starters. They can also come in relief. That's where the majority of their appearances have been. I think he belongs in the ball game, and he's going to try and keep the Wolverines from extending their 3-0 lead.
They'll have a tall task going up against the top of Michigan's order with the runner already in scoring position. 1 away. Hector Gutierrez on second base. Cronenworth looking to drive in his 43rd run of the season.
Gutierrez with good speed on second should score, especially based on pretty deep play by the Cowboys outfielders.
Cronenworth awaits the 0-1 pitch. It's outside to even the count at 1.
Bivens on deck. Glines in the hole. Glines homered in the third to give the Wolverines a 3-0 lead. Wind has died down to nothing here at Ray Fisher Stadium.
Cronenworth in the left-handed batter's box awaits the 1-1 pitch. Nerdin delivers, and Cronenworth almost looked like a check swing foul ball as it heads into Michigan's dugout.
Yeah, Nick Schnabel's got to pay attention down at third base. There was just a little dribbler, but he didn't even flinch at that one.
To the dugout. It wasn't.
It didn't even glance at it. If that's a line shot, you don't know what's going to happen.
Nonetheless, strike on Cronenworth. So it brings the count to 1-2. Nerdin from the stretch looks at Gutierrez. That pitch is in there for a strike. Cronenworth fouls it off to stay alive toward the backstop on the third base side. Cronenworth stretching out his knees. He got a little tied up on the past 2 pitches. Both of them looked like he was a little frozen, didn't give it a full hard swing.
Now we'll see Gage Green take a little stroll out, just have a few quick words with Tyler Nerden, and now he'll scamper back behind home plate. Get ready for this 1-2 pitch. What was that, Zach?
Cronenworth awaits the 1-2 pitch. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And Nerden attempts a pickoff. A little closer than I think Hector Gutierrez was expecting it to be. Nerden fires it over to Walton. Gutierrez slides back safely. But Nerden not messing around with the runner in scoring position.
Yeah, Donnie Walton keep trying to sneak in behind Hector Gutierrez there. Big hole on the left side of the infield for Cronenworth.
The 1-2 pitch, swing and a miss. Cronenworth will sit down. And there is 2 away in the bottom of the 4th. Michigan ahead 3-0. Trying to extend that. From one of the hottest hitters in the conference and in Michigan's lineup, Jake Bivens steps up to play. His average has risen to 353. Continues to rise. 14-game hitting streak, as Andrew Hausman mentioned. He scored after singling in the 3rd inning. Nerden with the pitch. It's outside, ball 1.
Wind picking up again here at Ray Fisher Stadium, coming this time straight in from center field. Just a light breeze.
Nerden working from the stretch. Gutierrez still at second. The 1-0 pitch is bounces. Catcher Gage Green. Make it count 2-0.
Wolverines in their all-white uniforms here today. They have the Michigan in white lettering across the front against the blue stripe that allows that with yellow trim. Also, yellow and blue trim down the side of those pants.
The 2-0 pitch is in there for strike 1. 2 balls, 1 strike.
Oklahoma State counters with their orange uniforms here today. They have white lettering on the front, gray pants, and black socks for the visitors.
At Oklahoma State, every single batter, or every single fielder with their socks up, or their pants up, I suppose. Not a look that's too common in baseball today. The 2-1 pitch, swing and a miss by Bivens. I don't know when the last time I saw an entire team roll their pants up like that.
And bringing in a lefty was definitely the right move here against the top of the lineup. He's gotten some big swings and misses, first against Cronenworth, and now to get ahead 2-2 on Jake Bivens.
1 pitch away from ending the inning. The 2-2 pitch outside. Nice stop by Gage Green to prevent Gutierrez from advancing. Makes the count full.
Green, a cool head behind the plate, a senior catcher. We've seen solid defense all series long from him. He was behind the plate Thursday and today out in left field yesterday.
Green only with 19 walks on the season. Let's go with 32 strikeouts.
Nerden, you mean?
Yeah, excuse me.
I was kind of surprised if Green actually got some action on the mound.
Yeah,
as well.
Green can do it all, but he does not have 19 walks or 32 strikeouts. That's Nerden. Nerden tacking on another strikeout. He gets Bivens to whiff. And a nice job by Nerden stepping in with a runner in scoring position, retiring Cronenworth and Bivens in order, and that'll do it for the 4th inning. Michigan still on top, 3-0. And we have another new pitcher. Looks like
Michael Hendrickson coming into the game for the Wolverines.
a left-hander from Saline, about 10-minute drive away from Ray Fisher Stadium. It's Michigan's Mr. Baseball last season. Did a nice job leading the perennial powerhouse Saline to another successful postseason run. It's been a little off and on this season. Starting to see some more action in the past couple weeks, but really was at the bottom of the barrel of the pitching staff for quite some time. But nonetheless, he's a left-hander. Nice breaking ball.
We saw him in mop-up duty, both in two of the recent blowouts for these Wolverines squad, as he took the mound in the late innings on the Sunday demolition of Northwestern, 19-1 the score in that one, and also the late innings in Eastern Michigan. Struck out 2 batters and walked 1 in an inning of work. Wolverines won that one 17-2. Then they've been victims of lopsided scores the other way, 12-2 here on Thursday in the opener, and then 11-5 last night. They kept that one close, up 5-4 heading to the top of the 6th. That's when the Cowboys had a 45-minute inning. The Wolverines didn't record an out for almost 30 minutes. Cowboys tacked on 6, added 1 more insurance run in the 9th to notch a 11-5 victory. But Michael Hendrickson coming into the game, 4.37 ERA, 0-1 on the year, 22 2/3 innings pitched, 25 hits, 16 runs, 11 of those earned, 24 strikeouts, stands out in 22 2/3 innings pitched. So a strikeout pitcher. He has given up 6 extra base hits, 5 doubles, 1 home run. Looking to come in here and pick up right where Brett Adcock and Donnie Eaton left off. A little bit tough shoes to fill, as they've done an incredible job striking out 10 Cowboys so far.
And Hendrickson will begin the 5th inning against the third baseman, David Petrino, who has one of Oklahoma State's 10 strikeouts on the day. Got that in the 2nd inning at the mercy of Brett Adcock, who has already changed out of his uniform, it appears. He'll be getting some ice momentarily just to make sure everything is functioning come Wednesday. First pitch of the at-bat, high and outside, ball 1.
You really expect to see him Wednesday, don't you?
I think you have to. I mean, if you're Coach Bakich, are you picking anyone else?
If I'm Coach Bakich, no, but we'll see what Coach Bakich opts to do there.
Second pitch of the at-bat, tipped into the glove of Kendall Patrick for strike 1.
Looks like Donnie Eaton's changed out his uniform too.
1-1 count on Petrino's, hitting .273 on the year. Floating breaking ball, doesn't break enough. Stays high, 2-1. That's 3 straight pitches in the upper end.
Yeah, he's fortunate that that one didn't break enough. If that one gone into the zone, then right in the sweet spot for David Petrino. But that was just way too far outside to even swing.
The 2-1 pitch is fouled toward Ferry Field on the first base side. A little bit lower, but still pretty high pitch.
Clearly, the scouting report is to attack Petrino up. They're also doing this, I believe it was on Gage Green.
Yeah,
it was on Gage Green. That one goes in low.
Yeah, that was a pretty good looking pitch. It was low, 2 inside to be called a strike, and that makes the count full on Petrino.
It's a big guy to get. Don't want to allow a leadoff runner here in the top of the 5th.
The payoff pitch, it's grounded to Jacobson, who scoops it and throws it over to Cronenworth. Make the easy first out.
Nice play there by Jacobson. He's had a little bit of a rough time in the field this year. I believe 10 errors on the season, but makes a nice play. Pretty routine play there for Eric Jacobson.
That brings up the left fielder, Brian Sluter. Another strikeout victim. He was caught looking in the 3rd inning as well.
Yeah, Sluter, as we mentioned, didn't play yesterday, but he started in left field on Thursday.
And that pitch is laced in between shortstop and 3rd. And Oklahoma State has their 2nd hit of the game. Sluter with the first pitch ground ball that was about perfectly placed between Gutierrez and Bivens at shortstop and 3rd. And Sluter's on with a single.
Yeah, arguably their first piece of hard contact, and that didn't even leave the infield on the fly. But it was just grounded in a perfect spot. Could have been a routine ground ball, but did get some pop behind it, and it's a little too hard for Bivens or Gutierrez to close the gap and make the play on that one.
Hendrickson with a strike 1 on Dustin Williams, who had previously been batting much sooner in the order than 8th, but he's been caught looking today. Not had his best weekend. Swing and a miss for strike 2.
Can't say I agree with that one, Zach. He was a perfect 6. He reached base 6 times in 6 plate appearances yesterday. So I'd call that a pretty good.
Then how do you
performance
explain him
yesterday.
moving down in the order?
I can't explain that one.
And Hendrickson got him swinging. So Dustin Williams collects his second strikeout of the game.
Designated hitter, Garrett McCain.
That brings up Garrett McCain.
McCain singled his first time up. That was just a pretty weak dribbler. That was a tough play for Cronenworth to make, unable to get a handle on it, and then couldn't flip it to the covering Adcock in time. So that was the first hit of the day for the Cowboys. They got their second hit earlier this inning when Sluter singled through the left side.
McCain with a closed stance. That ball is inside, nearly hit him for ball one.
We're here at Ray Fisher Stadium, WCBN Sports broadcast of Michigan baseball. The block Michigan lettering behind home plate. The M down the right field line. Down the left field line is a block M as well, also accompanied by the 7 numbers of the Wolverine Seniors. It's a senior day tradition here in Ann Arbor.
The 1-0 pitch. Low and inside. 2-0 on McCain.
Bruder deep and pacing around in left field.
Klein's notably shallow in center compared to Bruder's placement. Klein's in white. It almost looks like they're anticipating him to go the other way. Or they are giving Bruder a lot of room out there for his pacing.
Yeah. He's kind of wandering around. You don't see a lot of that at this level of baseball, but
Trying to burn some calories, some action. He hasn't seen too much in this game. The 3-0 pitch is low, and he walks McCain on 4 pitches.
now what do you want to do against the number 9 hitter in this Cowboys lineup? McCain has shown the ability to draw a walk in limited time. That's his 8th walk of the year.
2 down, 2 on for Hendrickson. Trying to work through the 5th inning. Michigan on top of number 13, Oklahoma State. They lead 3-0 through 4.
And that was really the big guy to get because these are dangerous hitters at the top of the line. They haven't had success today, but we've seen them produce the series.
And Green fouls off the first pitch. He's 0 for 2 on the day. Pop out to Glines and strikeout in the 3rd inning.
2 for 9 on the weekend is Gage Green. Also has drawn 3 walks here in Ann Arbor. Played some good defense catcher Thursday, left field yesterday, back at catcher here today. And clearly the scouting report on him is to go up in the zone.
The 0-1 pitch. Outside, Green able to check his swing in time to even the count at 1.
Sluter on second, McCain on first. Sluter singled early this inning, then Williams struck out before McCain reached on a 4-pitch walk.
The 1-1 pitch. Swing and a miss by Green. He is just struggling today. Swinging at pitches out of the zone, missing pitches. And for a guy who came into the series, pretty high batting average, leadoff hitter, a lot of speed. His on-base percentage was well over 400. Just really taking a step back. Hendrickson comes set. Delivers the 1-2 pitch. Outside, try to get Green chasing. But no dice.
That one, it looked like with his plant foot, he just did not hit it in line, and it wasn't right where he aimed, which was well outside into the righty batter's box. I don't think that's where he was trying to go, but a little flaw in his delivery there. Good speed on the base pass for the Cowboys.
The 2-2 pitch outside. Nice stop by Kendall Patrick to prevent base runners from advancing.
And that really was the pitch to get Gage Green on there. Now you loosen up the runners here with 2 outs. They'll have a good running start, and with good speed, contact could easily score Sluter, maybe even McCain.
Full count. The payoff pitch. It's outside. Hendrickson with his 2nd walk of the inning, and that's going to load up the bases.
We do see action in the Wolverines bullpen. Unsure who that is out there. Did you catch the number when he started warming up?
I did not. Looks like a right-hander. Could be Moser Wysocki.
Donnie Walton has struck out twice today, first in the fourth. Bases loaded here for the Cowboys. Pitching coach Sean Kenny will come out and have a word with the young right-hander here. Excuse me, left-hander. Missed that one.
And walks have been an Achilles heel for the Wolverines all weekend. They had 22 in the first two games. Adcock and Eaton able to keep things under control, but Hendrickson struggling a little bit. Gave up a single to start things off, and then has walked two of the last four batters. Load up the bases with Donnie Walton, arguably one of Oklahoma State's best hitters at the plate.
Yeah, he's got some pop in that bat. He looked real good yesterday. 2 for 4 on the day, knocked in 2 RBIs on that 2-run home run in the top of the third. Also scored 3 runs as he reached base with 2 walks. He's got a big opportunity to get the Cowboys right back into this ballgame.
First pitch of the at-bat, and it's base hit, to right field. Kevin White scoops it up. He's not going to get him at home, but he fires it over to third, and he got Green. Green trying to extend to third base on the single. 2-run score for Oklahoma State, however. It's going to be a 3-2 ball game, but nice play by White, ending the inning as soon as he could.
Yeah, disappointing there, though. He really didn't give up a lot of hard contact, kept everything on the ground, but that shows you what walks could do to you. And once again, Oklahoma State makes the Michigan Wolverines pay for their mistakes. 2 walks really cost them in this inning. They allowed 2 runs to score. Kevin White limits the damage with a strong throw from right field. Not exactly known for his defense, but nice play there to get the speedy Green. Green's got really good speed. With 2 outs, he was off on contact, but it was hit pretty hard, and White was able to come in. He wasn't playing that deep and was able to fire it over. Perfect strike over to Bruder at third. Bivens at third, and make the tag. Get Green and get out of the inning. But Wolverines give up 2, and their lead has been cut down to 1 here. They lead 3-2 as we head to the bottom of the 5th.
Yeah, and White, not normally known necessarily for making huge plays defensively, gets the job done there, however. Ends Oklahoma State's rally, but Green's single does drive in too. And I guess part of the aggression of the Cowboys was due to the fact that all the runners were moving on the pitch. Full count, 2 outs, bases loaded. Wrong time to give up a single if you're Michael Hendrickson.
Yeah, that's what we mentioned with the full count, and he ended up just walking Green. But the runners were able to get a good head start, and then end up just being walked into bases loaded position. We'll see Tyler Nurden return to the mound. The lefty looked real good against the Wolverines. Lefties Cronenworth and Bivens. Now he'll face 2 more to start this one off. Glines and Benedetti.
It'll be Glines, Benedetti, Bruder in the bottom of the 5th inning. Michigan put up 3 runs so far, trying to add to that total, trying to add to their 1-run lead over the 13th ranked Cowboys.
Yeah. When you jump out to a 3-0 lead, your first 2 pitchers pitch so well. It really would be devastating if they blow the 3-0 lead and drop another one and get swept as they head into the Big Ten tournament. Still, there are positives to be gleaned from this game that you couldn't say the same thing about the first 2 games.
Nurden, that pitch bounces off Glines' bat. Glines ducked from the pitch, but he didn't bring the bat down. Almost looked like a Little League play there. And that could have gone fair. It was a pretty hard hit ball, even though Glines didn't move his bat.
Not something you see every day. Then it goes foul, and Glines not pleased with himself on that one. That's a strike.
It's right at his head. He didn't duck his bat. Second pitch lifted to Michigan's bullpen. That'll be foul.
Sluter giving good chase to that one, but that was well foul.
So 0-2 count on Glines.
2 foul balls, a very different variety.
And that's your everyday 0-2 count. Nerdin winds up. The 0-2 delivery. And it's laced foul. That one harder hit. Goes about 300 feet, but it goes to Michigan's bullpen. Can't tell who's stretching out there, but could be another pitcher relatively soon for the Wolverines.
Yeah, Hendrickson, a rocky fifth inning, allowed the Cowboys to score 2. I wouldn't be surprised if his day was done.
The 0-2 pitch bounces, gets past Gage Green, bring the count to 1-2.
First at bat of the bottom of the fifth, we've seen lots of crazy ricochets in this at bat.
Yeah, wild stuff.
Exciting times here at Ray Fisher Stadium. Just about 600 to 700 in attendance. Maybe a little less than that.
It's probably about accurate. You got people milling around the ballpark. They do count everyone who travels with the teams and is in the press box. So
yeah, they listed it the attendance at 1,300 yesterday. Can't say I agree with that one.
it was actually a pretty sizable crowd, especially on Michigan's side of the dugout. It thinned out over time because the game did go on long, and after the sixth inning, there were only a couple hundred in the stands. But at the beginning, it was pretty crowded, especially with the Heroes Day and honoring our troops and our military members. The full count pitch, and Glines hits it to the first base side. Dustin Williams able to scoop it for the easy out, but Glines really worked Nerdin for all he could there in that at bat. And 7 pitches.
Nerdin's been dominating the Wolverines lefties so far. That's an area where the starter Reed struggled a little bit, but he's shut them down, and really they've not looked comfortable in these at bats. Cronworth and Bivens struck out to end last inning with a runner in scoring position. Then a tame ground out there after an interesting at bat from Jackson Glines that brings up Carmen Benedetti.
And Mr. RBI steps into the left-handed batter's box, watches strike 1. Benedetti doesn't have any RBIs today. Just a walk where he advanced to third and a pop out to left field. The 0-1 pitch. In there, strike 2. Benedetti has watched 2 pretty good pitches by Nerdin.
And Nerdin doing a good job commanding the outside of the plate against these lefties. It's hard when you're facing another lefty to get out to those pitches.
2 pitch bounces. Bring the count to 1-2. One-two pitch, laced foul off Michigan's clubhouse.
Now we see 2 pitchers getting loose in the Wolverines bullpen. Still very in the early stages of getting warmed up.
Looks like a right-hander and another right-hander. It could be the right-handed combination of Cam Wysocki and Mac Lozier. Could be other pitchers, of course. Could be Brian Paul.
I thought I caught a 1. Is there any reason they'd have Keith Lehman up?
It's certainly possible. He hasn't pitched all weekend, and he was a starter last season, so Bakich may be looking to see what he can get from Mr. Lehman.
And indeed it is. Number 13.
Full count. Back at the plate. Benedetti awaits the pitch, and it's low, and he draws a walk after falling behind 0-2. He only swung at 1 of those 6 pitches. 7 pitches, excuse me.
Yeah, Nerdin, 21 walks in 42 innings, so not a huge problem for him, especially getting a good amount of strikeouts. But now he'll face off against some righties. He performed well against the lefties, getting Cronenworth, Bivens, and Glines, but then walking Benedetti, and now he'll have to face 5 righties in succession: Bruder, White, Patrick Gutierrez, Jacobson.
Yeah, one of the more right-handed heavy batting lineups for the Wolverines all season. They've often put 7, even 8 left-handed hitters in the lineup. Nonetheless, Nerdin pitch count up to 25 after entering the inning with 11. 1 out, 1 on. Benedetti drew the walk. Bruder steps up to the plate. The first pitch gets away from Gage Green, but he's able to corral it and doesn't make the play. But nice job by Green, almost making an out after the ball dribbled away from him.
And Benedetti's a little shaken up. That's not something you like to see. Grabbing that right ankle, I think he'll be okay, but you want arguably your best hitter to be at 110% heading into that crucial Big Ten tournament starting this Wednesday.
Statistical improbabilities aside, looks like Benedetti wasn't planning the slide there. The play was a little closer than he expected, and had to do a late sort of mini slide. Almost went past the bag and might have hurt his leg there.
Yeah, those can be tough when you have to change and you just kind of almost like flop onto the bag. Baseball players have all been there before. I actually witnessed in a high school softball game, witnessed a career-ending injury like that where it was kind of a similar play where a player slid into second base.
And Bruder laces it to Petrino, who freezes Benedetti, keeps him at second base. And Bruder is retired, and that brings up Kevin White, Andrew Hausman's most talked about player, perhaps. Talk about him quite a bit. 2 away, the bottom of the 5th inning, Michigan leading 3-2. Carmen Benedetti in scoring position. Mr. RBI looking to get himself in via the bat of Kevin White.
So, yeah, as I was saying, a softball player slid into second on a late slide, ended up tearing her ACL and done for a career. So, good thing that didn't happen to Carmen Benedetti. And give credit to David Petrino. Makes an absolutely sensational play. That one looked like it was headed to the corner to score a run. Would have put Bruder in scoring position, giving the Wolverines a 2-run lead. But nice pick by Petrino. Backhanded play. And then fires it over to first base. Bruder's got good speed, but he beat him by a solid margin.
Nerdin fires the 1-0 pitch in there for a strike on Kevin White.
White 1 for 2 on the day. He singled in the second, advanced to third base, then flew out to center field his last time. That was in the 3rd inning. Gage Green will walk out and have a discussion with Tyler Nerdin. But Pete Pedersen not having any of these mound discussions here. Just about a little bit after Green reached the mound, Pedersen started sauntering out towards the mound, but quick discussion by Gage Green, and we're ready to get back underway.
Nerdin with the 1-1 delivery, and White grounds it to Donnie Walton, who scoops it, fires it over to Williams, and that'll end the 5th inning. Nerdin allows a walk, but nothing else. And we head to the 6th inning, Michigan leading 3-2.
And once again, the Wolverines get a runner in scoring position, but cannot bring him home. And that could come back to cost them in the latter stages of this game. They've already left 6 runners on base here today. And as showed last inning, you can't keep this Cowboys offense quiet for too long.
And Hendrickson is out of the game. And Keith Lehman in the game. Lehman injured earlier on in the season. He struggled getting himself kind of back to his old form. 1-3 with a 4.97 ERA.
Yeah, he really was expected to be one of the leaders of this Wolverines pitching staff this year, but just as you mentioned, never came back from that injury and has an inconsistent year all year long. 1-3 in the year, 29 innings pitched, 27 hits, 16 runs, all earned. 24 strikeouts against 12 walks is encouraging, but struggle with the extra base power, giving up 10 extra base hits in 29 innings. We haven't seen him in a little bit of time, as you mentioned. We last saw him. He started that game that really just turned into a disaster at Curtis Granderson Field against the University of Illinois Chicago. That was a midweek game on Tuesday, May 5th. Pitched the first 3. You have 6 hits, 4 runs. Did get 3 strikeouts, but just did not look good. And the Wolverines ended up falling in that one 7-0. That was one they were expected to grab. They could not. And so after about 11 days off, he'll finally return to the mound, and he'll face the 3, 4, 5 hitters for the Cowboys.
Yeah, Michigan weirdly shut out against the Flames after being shut out by the Hawkeyes. They'd only been shut out one time all season, and then they do it twice in a row. They came back strong, scoring 39 runs against Northwestern in the next series, but kind of a weird blip on the offensive radar for the Wolverines.
The second baseman, Tim Arakawa.
Tim Arakawa coming up. He's 0 for 1 on the day. Struck out in the first, then walked in the fourth. Thrown a number of walks in this series. I've been impressed with all-around baseball playing ability from Tim Arakawa. He shows bunt.
You wanna call the whole game? Yeah. I can go take a nap. All right. Anyway, shows bunt, pulls back, ball 1. Arakawa against Lehman. The 1-0 pitch is laced to left center field. Glines going back. Bruder is as well. Neither one of them able to get it. They concede to each other. That ball lands, and Arakawa will stop at second, but he's in there with a stand-up double.
And Glines looks hurt, adding injury to insult.
The right fielder.
But I think he's going to be okay. That's a play those guys got to make. I wouldn't be surprised if that was ruled an error. They'll call it a double, but that's a play Glines and Bruder have to make.
Looked like it was more in Glines' territory. Bruder had a long way to go to get there, but Bruder might have had the better angle, so unclear who would be at fault there, perhaps both of them. But that brings up Connor Costello, whose batting average has dipped to 248, 2 strikeouts on the day. And Lehman working from the stretch, looks at Arakawa, fires the 0-0 pitch, and it's low, ball 1.
Yeah, 0 for 2 today, 0 for 5 yesterday. That was after a big night on Thursday. He had the home run, also 2 for 4, 3 RBIs on the day.
The 1-0 pitch outside, ball 2.
And not exactly, you can't really pitch around Costello here. He hasn't looked that good today. There is a base open, but Hassel's look good. Petrino's look good. Neither of them have a hit.
I was going to say 4, 5, 6 hitters 0 for 6 today. That ball is fouled into the backstop. Two 2-1 count on Costello, who does have 6 home runs this season. The 2-1 delivery. Swing and a miss. Caught him swinging big on a breaking ball. 2-2 count.
This is a big batter right here. Strikeout would be big for Keith Lehman. We mentioned he can get strikeouts. Just about a strikeout per inning. 24 strikeouts in 29 innings. This would be a big one right here. Costello hasn't looked good today. Long look in.
2-2 count from the stretch. And he gets Costello to ground to Bivens, who fires it to Cronenworth to make the out. First out of the inning.
Just barely got him.
And Arakawa stays at second. Yeah, no kidding. The high bounce victimized Bivens the other day as he made a nice play, but unable to get the double play in a key inning last night.
Yeah, Costello does have very good speed, 12 for 12 on stolen bases. He was really motoring down that line. That's something you see out of every cleanup hitter, but when Bivens has to wait for that high chop, he almost beat that out, and the throw only beat him by a step to a step and a half at first base, but Bivens also makes sure Arakawa retreats to second. Big out there from Keith Lehman.
1 out, 1 on. Arakawa still at second base after the leadoff double. That ball is hit to Cronenworth. Cronenworth bobbles it, but credit to Keith Lehman hustling over there to help Cronenworth make the play for the second out of the inning. Arakawa does advance to third.
Yeah, as you said, credit to Keith Lehman. We've seen Michigan Wolverines pitchers mess up that play a lot more than they should have this year. Just not getting over in time to cover. As soon as you release the ball, you become a fielder as well. That's something the Wolverines pitchers often forget. But as you said, nice play by Keith Lehman. That gets the second out. Arakawa does advance to third.
And that pitch is in there for a strike on David Petrino, who struck out and grounded out to Jacobson. On the day, his average now sits at 269.
Yeah, we just saw Petrino with a great play defensively last inning. A nice pick on someone that looked like it was headed towards the corner. Zach wasn't impressed. I was.
It was a ground ball. It's a ground out. It's a hard hit grounder, but it wasn't like a base hit robbing play.
I think it was. I would have. I wouldn't. It would have been a hit if it got past him. It wouldn't have been an error. It most certainly would have been a hit.
Yeah, if he hadn't touched it, it might have been it. Nonetheless, 1-1 count. And Petrino takes that for a ride. Bruder going back, and he makes the catch on the warning track, and that'll end the top of the sixth. Nice range by Bruder, able to track that down. That was a hard hit ball by Petrino.
Redemption for Cody Bruder after arguably it was his fault that allowed Arakawa to double the lead off the inning. It dropped between him and Glines, but makes a very nice running catch, as you mentioned, onto the warning track. And I wouldn't be surprised if Keith Lehman's day was done after one inning. Give a lot of hard contact there. Luckily to escape without a run. Wolverines still clinging to that 3-2 lead as we head to the bottom of the sixth inning.
Yeah, the leadoff double by Arakawa does no damage, and we head to the bottom of the sixth. Michigan still leading 3-2 in what has become, I guess, an interesting game. We're having a lot of different bullpen assets being used. Neither starting pitcher went long, despite relatively solid performances. I don't know if Remy Reed was too happy with his, but Michigan fans have to be happy with Brett Adcock's performance. But Michigan's bullpen up to the challenge so far. Michael Hendrickson gave up 2 runs in the top of the fifth, but other than that, pretty quiet day for Oklahoma State's offense.
Yeah, it kind of shows you Oklahoma State makes you pay for mistakes. Hendrickson had those 2 walks and then ended up giving that 2-run single. So there's only been 1 walk combined between the 3 other Wolverines pitchers, and that's been what's able to keep the Cowboys off the scoreboard. We'll take this time to update you on some Big Ten scores.
Yay!
The current only other 2 games underway right now. Rutgers once again with a surprising lead
kidding.
in Piscataway. They're leading Iowa 3-2. Perhaps Iowa resting a few players as they're locked into that number 2 seed in the Big Ten tournament. They had an outside chance of catching Illinois coming into this weekend and then lost
They would have needed some luck, though.
Yeah, they lost the stunning opener in Piscataway, so that locked them into that 2 seed, dropping 5-3 to Rutgers on Thursday, then coming right back, winning 10-3 yesterday, but they trail 3-2 in the top of the 9th today. The only other game, Purdue leads Penn State 7-3, bottom 8. I believe they're playing a doubleheader there to make up for the rain postponed game yesterday.
A rather inconsequential game, too, as both teams near the bottom of the Big Ten. But, Andrew, obviously we have Kendall Patrick going up against Tyler Nurdin. But looking at those Big Ten standings, what can happen today for the Wolverines?
Well, something big can happen, and that game will come up at 2:05 p.m. Michigan will be rooting heavily for the Golden Gophers of Minnesota. If they knock off Michigan State in the grudge match of that season series, each team has taken 1 game yesterday of the doubleheader, and if they can knock them off, Michigan State will fall into a tie with Michigan. Michigan has the head-to-head advantage based on common opponents, so they would move up to the number 3 seed in the Big Ten tournament. Rather surprising coming in this weekend. They sat at 6th, but lots of loss by teams ahead of them, and 1 more could move them all the way up to the 3rd seed.
1-2 count on Patrick. Nurdin with the pitch, and Patrick sends it on a line. It goes foul into Oklahoma State's bullpen, but he gave that one a ride.
Yeah, just a little too late on the fastball by Nurdin. I thought that one was going to get down in the corner, but just kept tailing away. Nothing more than a long strike to Kendall Patrick.
Still 1-2 on the senior, playing in his last game at Ray Fisher Stadium. Nurdin from the windup delivers, and Patrick sends it foul over the press box in Luxury Suites.
A few more darker clouds starting to move in here at Ray Fisher Stadium. The sun shined a little bit in the first 2 innings, but it's been hidden ever since. Light breeze coming in from center field. It's pretty much stopped.
And Patrick swings at the 1-2 pitch. Gets away from Green, who nearly throws it away. But Dustin Williams has some height to him. Able to track that one down for the drop 3rd strike out.
Yeah, Williams 6'2" at first base, so able to leap up, make the play. And just an interesting coincidence. It seems to happen all the time that the catchers drop Kendall Patrick's third strike. He reached last Friday against Northwestern by virtue of a drop third strike. Also, later in that game, there was another drop third strike that he wasn't able to reach on. And it's happened twice this series, that being the second time.
Nerdin now faces off against Hector Gutierrez, who grounded into fielder's choice, got an RBI in the second inning, and got a single and advanced to second in the fourth.
Fourth straight start. He's looking good. He's reached base a number of times via walk in recent games.
Defense has been solid for the most part as well. The 1-0 pitch fouled into the backstop.
Can't tell what that noise is in the background.
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
Goes away.
Nonetheless, 1-1 pitch with one out. Gutierrez sends it to Arakawa, who scoops it, sends it to Williams for the easy ground out.
The second baseman, Eric
We'll bring up
Jacobson.
Eric Jacobson. Not much to note of that at-bat from Gutierrez. Just grounds a 1-1 pitch right to Arakawa, second out of the inning. We up to Eric Jacobson. Just graduated from the Ross School of Business here at the University of Michigan.
Good for him. First pitch of the at-bat. Swing and a miss. Jacobson, batting average at down to 268. 2 ground outs today. One did drive in a run, however. The 0-1 pitch popped up in foul territory. Williams trying to make a play, but it's out of play near the kettle corn.
I've had a chance to have a few discussions.
Go ahead.
I've had a chance to have a few discussions with Eric Jacobson over the course of the last few years. And just an all-around nice guy, quality human being.
The 0-2 pitch. Not up to Jacobson's quality. That's ball one.
Breeze starting to pick up from center field again. Blowing straight in, but still very light.
The 1-2 pitch. Inside, even the count at 2. 2 away, nobody on. The bottom of the 6th. Michigan up 3-2 over the number 13 Oklahoma State. Two pitch is grounded foul into, or just over Michigan's dugout. Keith Lehman, or excuse me, Donnie Eaton there to scoop it up.
Two pitchers getting loose in the Wolverines bullpen.
2-2 pitch grounded, foul, bounces off the mesh to the netting right before Michigan's dugout. Jacobson working Nerdin, whose pitch count is now at 39. I believe they're only updating that before every at-bat, so it might even be higher. The 2-2 pitch, swing and a miss. Nerdin gets his 4th strikeout of the game, and he's really stepped in for Remy Reed, who was struggling, and done a nice job.
Yeah, we expected both of these pitchers to pitch, and if you had asked me before this game, all right, who do the Wolverines score 3 runs against and who shuts them down, I would have definitely answered that Remy Reed is the one that shuts them down. He came into this game sporting an ERA below 1. And, well, Nerdin's been good all year. His ERA is right around 3, and it's still very good for a pitcher. He's come in some spot starts in relief here and for most of the year, but he's looked really good so far. As you mentioned, 4 strikeouts, 2 2/3 innings pitched, only giving him 1 walk, hasn't surrendered a hit yet. So Reed struggled against the Wolverines, gave up 3 runs on 7 hits, but they've been hitless so far. We're headed to the top of the 7th. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball. Andrew Hausman alongside Zach Shaw. On the day, our regular season finale of baseball here at Ray Fisher Stadium, and Carmen Benedetti coming into the game. Are you a little surprised by this move here?
Not at all. I mentioned it earlier. You know, he has been relatively good as a bullpen pitcher. 12.2 innings pitched, only 3 earned runs, 2.13 ERA, 19 strikeouts in those 12 2/3 innings pitched, only 9 walks only 4 hits allowed, so he's pretty solid as a pitcher. They put him in the designated hitter spot, and usually if you see Carmen Benedetti DHing, it probably means that he is going to pitch, or he's very viable to come into the game. Left-hander, has pretty good stuff, pretty good speed, actually, for someone who normally plays first base when he's in the field. And, you know, Mr. RBI can get things done on the mound as well. And so I think it's right. I mean, as we've talked about, the bullpen's a little taxed. They've had a long weekend, and I think he really is one of those top 5. And when I talked to Backus, he mentions Paul, Wysocki, Lozier, and then Cronenworth and Benedetti, who are also 2 of Michigan's top hitters, as really the 5 guys to watch as far as bullpen assets in the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah, we haven't seen him for quite some time. Last pitch, notched the save in a 4-2 road victory on the Saturday game at Minnesota. That's a big-time victory. The Wolverines were struggling a little bit on the year. We weren't sure if they were going to be able to take the series in Minnesota. Indeed, they did. He pitched 1 1/3, 2 walks and a strikeout. What really pops out in the numbers for Carmen Benedetti, 19 strikeouts and only 12 2/3 innings pitched. So a strikeout pitcher, as Zach mentioned, he can bring the heat, and he'll have to do that against the 7, 8, 9 hitters, Sluter, Williams, McCain. Benedetti is ready to go, still waiting for the righty Sluter to dig in. Sluter 1 for 2 on the day, struck out looking in the 3rd, then singled and came around to score in the 5th. He'll take a strike at the knees.
And that's what Benedetti needs to do if he wants to be successful. Oklahoma State, not a real powerful hitting team, but they get a lot of runs because Michigan pitching staff really lacks control as he fires ball 1 there.
Yeah, that one didn't look good. Came very far in on Ryan Sluter, and you could tell right off as soon as Benedetti released it, that wasn't going where he wanted to. Fortunately, he didn't hit Sluter there. Just a ball, 1-1. That one's inside. I think that's a little closer to where Benedetti wanted, but a little up, 2-1.
Yeah, and strikes on the knees is going to get the job done against the Cowboys. It's just a matter of, you know, which Michigan pitchers can do it, because not very many have so far.
2-1 tries to attack low in the zone, but misses again. 3-1. Don't want to walk Ryan Sluter here. He has shown the ability to draw a walk, 21 walks on the year. 3-1. That one misses low and inside. And after a nice first pitch strike, 4 straight balls from Carmen Benedetti.
Yeah, and Sluter has that closed stance. He almost covers a bit of the plate with his arms. I'm a little surprised that umpires haven't told him to back up a little bit, because he really does cover quite a bit of the plate. And all of those pitches inside, perhaps trying to get Sluter off, but Sluter not backing down. He'll take that free pass to first base when he can get it.
Benedetti delivers. Williams squares to bunt. Williams reached base all 6 plate appearances yesterday, 4 walks, 2 for 2, but he's 0 for 2 today. Struck out looking in the 3rd and struck out swinging in the 5th. Sluter with decent speed. That one misses 1-1. Sluter 3 for 5 in stolen bases, but as he's shown in left field, can cover a lot of space, and he's got above average speed over at first base. Cronenworth covering with him. 1-1 pitch, squares to bunt again. That one misses outside. Benedetti having a tough time finding the strike zone here. He's down 2-1 to Dustin Williams. Bivens expecting a bunt. He's right on the edge of that infield grass. Williams squares to bunt again. There's a strike on the outside corner.
That almost looks like it was in the same spot as the previous pitch, maybe a matter of inches. But no one warming up in Michigan's bullpen, so it's largely on Benedetti to thrive here in the 7th inning. Cronenworth, a viable option. Brian Paul, potentially, although I wouldn't be surprised to see him get the day off.
2-2 pitch misses low and away. That will loosen up Sluter at first base. Chance for a strike him out, throw him out here for the Wolverines. Also a chance for Benedetti to walk the first 2 batters here, the 7-8 hitters for the Cowboys. Payoff pitch. He got him looking. Williams does not offer to that one. He will be awarded the May Sombrero as he sulks back into that Cowboys dugout. 3 strikeouts of the day for Dustin Williams. That will bring up Garrett McCain for the Cowboys.
Well, the Golden Sombrero is 4 strikeouts, so the Maze is just 3.
I thought no, Golden Sombrero is 3.
Oh, 0 for 4, 4 strikeouts.
Beg to differ on that one. Maze Sombrero could be just 3. It's a new thing. McCain 1 for 1 on the day. Also walked and came around to score in the 5th. He takes a strike, splits the heart of the plate, 0-1. It is indeed 4 times, so.
If I were Mr. Eli Sherman, I'd be chalking it up on my correct board.
Breaking ball misses up. 1-1 to Garrett McCain. But yeah, Maze Sombrero could be 3. It's like a moderate
Sounds good to me.
moderate version of a Golden Sombrero. Sluter on first. He's got above average speed there. Cronenworth holding with him. Jacobson shaded into the hole on the right side of the infield. The 1-1 delivery. That one's in the dirt. Benedetti throwing a lot of pitches here. McCain will step out of that righty batter's box, get the signs from his third base coach, and dig back in to face the lefty Benedetti.
Yeah, already at 14 pitches. That's he's probably only in for 1 inning anyways, but not the desired
They still only got 1 out, so
efficiency. Yeah.
lots of work to do here for Carmen Benedetti. Wolverines clinging to a 3-2 lead. We're in the top of the 7th. Runner is going, and I believe that one was fouled off, but is not ruled a foul ball.
Swing and a miss. Got away from Patrick. It was a big swing, which is an interesting tactic. I thought maybe it was a hit and run attempt, but that swing wasn't really that close to the ball. But threw Patrick off enough that the ball was stopped but not recovered in time. And Sluter advances to second base.
Yeah, definitely a steal there. And now we'll see a conference on the mound from Kendall Patrick and Carmen Benedetti. They have a runner in scoring position to deal with only 1 out here. Gage Green standing on deck. Wolverines are fairly shallow in the outfield, looking to nab any potential tying runs coming home. We already seen Kevin White throw out a runner at third base. That was after the Cowboys had a 2-run single to cut it to 3-2. That was back in the 5th. Wolverines, 3 runs on 7 hits, no errors, 2 runs on 4 hits for the Cowboys. Swing and a miss there by Garrett McCain. And a big strikeout for Carmen Benedetti gets the second out of the inning. That will leave it up to Gage Green, 0 for 2 on the day. Sluter still at second base, runner in scoring position. The Wolverines will take a few steps back all around in the outfield. Green flew out to center field his first time up, then struck out swinging in the 3rd, walked in the 5th. He was the one that was cut down by Kevin White, trying to go 1st to 3rd on that single. We'll see another mound conference here from the battery combo. Kendall Patrick, the senior, consults the sophomore left-hander, Carmen Benedetti. And now Patrick will reposition himself behind home plate and get ready for Gage Green. This is a big hitter in this ball game for the Wolverines. Benedetti leans in, takes a long look, but first we'll see a visit from head coach Eric Bakich. No one's warming up, so I think this is just a conference. So with this pause, we'll update you on the rest of the Big Ten scores. So as I mentioned, the Big
Are there more?
Well, there's still a couple more games coming up later today. Nebraska and Illinois will face off in the finale of 3. Illinois is taking the first 2 in that series, 6-3 and 10-9. Indiana closed out a 3-game sweep last night of the Ohio State Buckeyes in Bloomington, 6-4 on Thursday. Then took the doubleheader yesterday, 9-1 in the first game and 6-4 in the second. Northwestern Maryland will close out their 3-game set later today. And Michigan versus Oklahoma State rounding up their 3rd game set. And we will see a change here. It looks like Cronenworth will come into pitch. Benedetti will move back into that DH spot, I believe. And
they may be putting him at first.
Yeah, he's changing out gloves. We'll get you updated on all the changes here. It's going to be a little bit of a process.
Yeah, Benedetti getting Eli Sherman called it the taco. first base glove. I hadn't heard that term before, but yeah, this is pretty much exactly what Bakich had in mind. He probably would prefer. It's a less tense situation. Michigan might prefer if Michigan had a bigger lead, but that's the idea. You put Carmen Benedetti at the designated hitter. That way, you can put him in without having to switch any hitters out. Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay.
He was designated hitter. Okay. Then he comes in as pitcher, but you don't have to take anyone out of your lineup. And then you have Cronenworth play first base while Jacobson's at second, in part for senior day. But this is a strategy they've done a few times this season. So then Cronenworth can come in to pitch. He now becomes the pitcher / DH. So then suddenly you can have two of your bullpen assets take the mound without having to mess up your lineup at all.
And
keep two of your stronger bats in the lineup as well.
Tactical management, and Eric Bakich will come out and have a word with Pete Pedersen, the home plate umpire, just make sure he keeps track of all those changes. So Cronenworth in for Benedetti. Cronenworth really struggled his last time out. He arguably blew the game for the Wolverines on the Saturday matchup between Michigan Wolverines and the Northwestern Wildcats. 2 innings pitched, gave up 2 hits, but gave up 3 runs, 2 of those earned. Also made a crucial error on the mound, allowed the go-ahead run to score. Then he homered in the next inning, so helped his cause a little bit, but he already allowed the go-ahead run to score and then an insurance run. He got a run back by homering over the right field wall. Wasn't able to do quite enough. On the year, 3-6, 3 saves. He's going for a 4-out save here. 40 innings pitched, 34 hits, 22 runs, 18 of those earned. 16 walks, 49 strikeouts, and 40 innings pitched. Looking for a big one here with a runner in scoring position. Has given out 10 extra base hits, 7 doubles, 1 triple, and 2 home runs. He'll face Gage Green 0 for 2 on the day. Also has a walk. First pitch outside, 1-0.
And big chance for Cronenworth to redeem himself. He's been relatively quiet at the plate this series. Didn't do so well his last time out on the mound. Really the last couple times out on the mound. Still adjusted that bullpen role.
Runner's going to third base, and there's no one covering. A mistake from Jake Bivens allows the runner to advance to third.
Yeah, big error by Bivens there. Had a chance to get him. Patrick came up firing. Probably had a chance to get him out, but Bivens nowhere near the bag.
Yeah, Patrick was about to fire that one to left field. Good job to hold up on that one, or that will allow the tying run to score. Tying run moves up to third. Now Gage Green will call time. He is a 1-1 count against Jacob Cronenworth. Outfield will shift a little bit back into straight up position. 1-1 squares to bunt. That's down the third base line, and that one is foul. Fortunate for the Wolverines, that one rolled foul. Once again, Jake Bivens out of position. And if that one had stayed fair, that would have scored the run, and Green would have reached first base rather easily. Bivens finally showed a little bit of his youth. He's been great all season long in the field, especially at the plate as of late on a 14-game hitting streak, but makes an error there, allows Sluter to advance to third. Almost allows a bunt. Green squares to bunt with 2 strikes, pulls it back, then misses high and away. 2-2 from Jacob Cronenworth. Cronenworth taking a long look in from Kendall Patrick. Comes set. The 2-2 pitch. That one misses outside. Runs the count full. High leverage situation right here for the Wolverines. Sluter standing on third. He represents the potential tying run. We're at the top of the 7th. The Wolverines lead 3-2. Here comes the payoff pitch. That one's lifted high in the air to right field. White is tracking it. He's going back, and he will make the catch on the warning track. Cronenworth gets out of the jam with a long fly ball out. We get to the bottom of the 7th. Wolverines lead 3-2. This is WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball. Andrew Hausman alongside Zachary Shaw on the call.
Zachary? Oh, well. Nonetheless, nice job by White tracking that down. He's not the fastest guy, not someone I would necessarily pick as the defensive option in right field. He is playing in his last game, so I don't think Bakich had too much hesitation putting him out there. But if that ball had been 5 feet to the right, it would have been a home run. And so nice job by him finding that wall, finding some territory. It looked like he lost it temporarily, but able to find it. And Michigan holding on in this game. We into the 7th inning stretch. They're up 3-2. Their offense has cooled down a little bit, but they're playing a much cleaner baseball game. I think this is more of the game Michigan coach Eric Bakich was expecting. Better defense, no errors. Hits haven't necessarily been there. They only have 7.
And they haven't hit Tyler Nerdin at all. He returns to the mound for another inning of work.
Absolutely, and no errors. Fewer walks. Hendrickson struggled, and he paid the price, but I think Michigan fans have to feel good about this game. Even if they do end up losing, it shows that the wheels haven't completely fallen off for this team. They're still capable. They're plenty capable of bringing it together, playing a good game against a good team, because to win the Big Ten tournament, they're going to have to be better than 3 ranked teams. There's potentially 3 other teams that are making pretty strong tournament cases. Nebraska and Ohio State falling off, Michigan State rising a little bit, but really Illinois, Iowa, some of these other teams, even Maryland still has a pretty strong tournament case. So certainly will be a tough field, one of the toughest fields the Big Ten has seen in years here at this Big Ten tournament coming up. So playing a clean game against Oklahoma State goes a long way, even though it doesn't necessarily change their standing in the season.
And first up for the Wolverines will be Jacob Cronenworth in at pitcher. Do you expect to see him go the rest of the way, or could we see Brian Paul get a save opportunity?
I expect him to go in the 8th. I don't know what they're going to do in the 9th, because I don't know if Brian Paul really looked sharp at all in his previous outing just last night.
Cronenworth takes a strike on the outside corner at the knees. Good breaking ball there from Nerdin.
Cronenworth was hit hard. He didn't look that dominant in his brief 7th inning outing, so I guess it depends on the 8th.
Takes a fastball outside. That evens the count at 1-1. Nerdin delivers. 1-1. Right back up the middle. That's fielded by Walton. Flip over to first base. And that's the first out here in the bottom of the 7th inning. It looked like it might squeeze into the outfield for a base hit, but just not quite hit hard enough. Walton able to range far to his left, field it right behind the bag at second. Make an easy toss to Dustin Williams for the first out here of the bottom of the 7th. Jake Bivens steps in. 1 for 3 on the day, extended his hitting streak to 14 games. Ground out to first baseman unassisted in the first, then singled in the third. He was homered around the bases by Jackson Glines before striking out swinging in the 4th. Takes the first pitch for a called strike, now fouls that one back. Quickly 0-2 on the freshman. He's at third today, and we saw him make a mistake. Just last inning, he allowed Sluter to advance to third. Looked like Kendall Petrick was going to have a chance at the play, but he wasn't covering. 0-2 misses low. Makes it 1-2 on Jake Bivens. 1 out here in the bottom of the 7th. Wolverines lead 3-2. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball. The lefty Nerdin delivers. Break ball misses low again. Pretty much the same spot. Evens the count at 2-2. Outfield plays the lefty Bivens to go the opposite field. Breeze picking up a little bit. Coming straight in from center. The 2-2 pitch. Again, the same spot. Breaking ball has been low and away 3 times in a row. And that has made the count go from 0-2 to 3-2 on Jake Bivens. Here comes the payoff pitch. And the 4th pitch in the same spot is a walk. He came back with 4 straight breaking balls after getting ahead 0-2. And a full count walk with 1 out to Jake Bivens. Bring up Jackson Glines, 1 for 3 on the day. That one hit was a monster shot to right field. Off the scoreboard, that gave the Wolverines a 3-0 lead back in the 3rd. They've been kept quiet ever since. Nurden came in and has not surrendered a hit so far to the Wolverines. Has given up 2 walks, but struck out 4 Wolverines. He's at 55 pitches. We'll see how long he goes. Lots of pitchers have been getting loose. No one warming up currently for the Cowboys. First pitch, grounded to second base. This could be 2. Relay to shortstop, and then a throw to first is in time. Just barely able to beat Jackson Glines, an inning-ending double play. So just like that, the Wolverines get a runner on against Tyler Nurden, but a ground ball right to Arkawa. Flips it to Walton at shortstop, and relay to Dustin Williams is just barely in time. They beat the speedy Jackson Glines by half a step. And a very quick bottom of the 7th for the Wolverines. We get to the top of the 8th. The Wolverines lead the Cowboys 3-2 yesterday. WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball. Andrew Hausman alongside Zach Shaw. Cronenworth will return to the mound. He did allow a long out that got him out of last inning. Kevin White tracked it down on the warning track with a runner on third. So stranding a runner there. Now he's looking to have a shutout 8th here.
Yeah, it seems a little dated of a statement now, but Nurden, you have to give credit to him. Really, he just came in, and it just shows why Oklahoma State is as highly ranked as they are. If a starter struggles, and not that Remy Reed struggled a lot.
I would say he struggled. When you come into the game with
comparatively,
4 runs,
but he still had Oklahoma State in position to win. If you give up 3 runs, even if it's a relatively short outing, it's not a terrible start. There were struggles, but he was able to get out of both jams that he was in. But nonetheless, Nurden came in without a starter's level warm-up, although he had been warming up since the first inning. He was anticipated to go in, but really gave a starter's level duration and performance and shut down this offense that looked like it was showing signs of life and showing capabilities of, really making life miserable for the Cowboys today.
And we see another pitcher warming up for the Wolverines. Unsure who that is. It is a righty. Is that maybe Mac Lozier? In a short performance yesterday. Can't tell who that is. It looks like there's a 2 for the first number.
Yeah, it's either Lozier or Wysocki is my hunch. I don't think Brian Paul will be pitching today, although he heads out into the bullpen. So just like that, I was proven wrong.
And another extended inning break due to Big Ten Network also covering this game. We had to wait. The pitcher's ready to go. The fielder's ready to go. The umpire's ready to go. But Big Ten Network was not ready to go. And so we have to wait about an additional 30 seconds as they come back from commercial break. No commercial breaks here on WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball. Jacob Cronenworth to face Donnie Walton. The righty against the lefty batter. Delivers a fastball low. 1-0 on Donnie Walton. 1 for 3 in the day. Struck out swinging his first 2 times up, but delivered the big hit of the day for the Cowboys so far. A 2 RBI single back in the 5th. Now he takes a big cut and miss. Evens count at 1-1. One and 1 on Donnie Walton. The pitch misses outside. 2-1. Two and 1 on Donnie Walton. Wolverines pretty much straight up average depth on the shortstop. He's been good at the plate and in the field this series. That one misses. 3-1. Walton waiting for the 3-1 pitch. Cronenworth comes set. He delivers. Strike called on the outside corner. Attacking away. Donnie Walton gets his second strike in there. Both fastballs right in the outside black of the plate. To the lefty Walton. Payoff pitch. That's skied in the air. Bruder tracking it. He'll come in, drift to his left, make the catch. First out here in the top of the 8th for the Wolverines.
Yeah, 2 batters faced, 2 hard hit balls into the outfield for Oklahoma State. Cronenworth showing that he's hittable. If he can probably get the job done still if he can keep the ball down in the zone and work on his control a little bit. But ultimately, not a great omen. And it will be Mac Lozier in the bullpen.
Alongside Brian Paul.
Yes, both options. As
now the first pitch swinging by Arakawa is another hard hit ball, as you mentioned, but that just settles into the glove of Jackson Glines for the second out. It was a hard hit ball to left center field, but it's a little too much loft on it. And Glines over to make the catch. 2 outs here in the top of the 8th. Connor Costello coming up. He's 0 for 3 on the day. Struck out in the 2nd and 4th. Also grounded out to Bivens in the 6th.
But Cronenworth's a competitive guy. He wants to end this game himself if he can.
Yeah, he hasn't used a lot of pitches so far, so if he can get Costello right here, I would definitely expect him to come out, go for that 7-out save in the top of the 9th. Delivers a strike on the outside corner to Costello. He's really attacking the outside part of the strike zone to these Cowboys hitters so far. Again goes outside. Again delivers a fastball strike. Quickly 0-2. Cronenworth's not messing around. Wolverines playing deep all around, respecting Costello's power. 13 extra base hits on the year, 7 doubles, 6 home runs. Cronenworth comes set. Delivers 0-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Strikeout there for Jacob Cronenworth. He gets an easy inning, and I think he'll be back for the 9th. We head to the bottom of the 8th. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball. The Wolverines still holding on to that 3-2 lead.
Yeah, Cronenworth got better as that inning wore on. His velocity picked up, his control improved, and ultimately ends in a really strong strikeout there. I would expect to see him go out in the 9th. I think, especially if there's an insurance run or two, I think Bakich will keep him on a short leash because he wants to win this baseball game. But Cronenworth, as I mentioned, competitive guy. He wants to end this game. He wants to be out there on the mound to close it out. Wouldn't be surprised if he got the opportunity to do so based on his 8th inning.
Yeah, he has not thrown a lot of pitches so far. He's only thrown 16 pitches so far, so I think he could definitely be coming out. Definitely could be coming out for the top of the 9th, but first up is the Wolverines' opportunity to bat in the bottom of the 8th. It will be a new pitcher, Garrett Williams, for the Cowboys coming out.
Yeah, Williams, probably the most notable statistic is that he struggled with his control. 17 walks and 17 in a 3rd innings pitch. Giving up 8 hits, which isn't too bad, about 1 for every 2 innings. But ultimately, if you're walking a guy an inning, you're going to be in trouble. 1.47 whip, 4.67 earned run average. And that was against a relatively competitive Big 12.
Well, he's been outstanding in the Big 12. He hasn't allowed an earned run.
Really? Interesting. So I think that kind of shows that, you know, if his control is there, he can really do some impressive things on the mound. But ultimately, if that control isn't there, and if Michigan's batting lineup, it looks like it's going to be, 4, 5, 6 hitters. So if they can be patient and work Williams for all they can probably tack on an insurance run or 2 here.
Yeah, we saw him yesterday. He came in for the starter. Perrin was in a little trouble in the 5th. He walked 2 batters and ended up giving up 2 earned runs. So not the best of performances. That gave the Wolverines a 5-4 lead as we headed to the top of the 6th. Wolverines looked like they were in good shape. Michigan softball had just notched a run rule victory across the way at Alumni Field. It looks like it's going to be a good day here at the Wilpon Complex, but it all fell apart in that disastrous inning for the Wolverines. But Garrett Williams returns. He was the one that allowed the Wolverines to take the lead, as I mentioned, facing Benedetti, Bruder, and White here in the bottom of the 8th. Wolverines hope this is their final time batting here this season at Ray Fisher Stadium.
Quick announcement, Miguel Cabrera just hit his 400th home run of his career.
Big cut and a miss on the 1-0 pitch by Carmen Benedetti. Evens at 1-1.
And I believe that's his 3rd in 3 games. Had one last night as well. So
4th in 3 games. He had 2 on Thursday.
Oh, that's right. So certainly coming into his own in May.
1-1 pitch is a strike on the outside. Garrett Williams has been attacking the lefty Benedetti on the outside part of the plate. He's got 2 in there for strikes. Outfield deep, respecting Benedetti's power. Shaded a little bit to the opposite field. There's a breaking ball way outside. Evens the count at 2-2 on Carmen Benedetti. 0 for 1 on the day. He's walked his last 2 times up. Flew out to left field in the 2nd. He's waiting for the 2-2 pitch here. the lefty batter against the lefty Williams. That one's in the dirt. Runs the count full. We saw just in his last at-bat in the 5th where he went down 0-2. And then he was able to rally back and draw a walk on the full count. Could he do the same here? We'll see. Waiting for the payoff pitch. Here it comes. And that one's low. So once again, Benedetti battles back in an at-bat, draws his 3rd walk of the day. And when you're not swinging the bat that well, he hasn't been swinging the bat well this series, but he's been able to knock in some runs, even productive outs last night, and then also draw some walks here today. 3 walks. So
he's not getting a lot of hits, but I think he is swinging the bat well. I talked to Backus last night about it. You know, he's hitting the ball hard, and he's getting what Backus, really the only stat he cares about, and that's quality at bats. He has a whiteboard with a chart, similar to Eli Sherman's correct chart, but probably with a lot more tallies. But he tracks quality at bats. That's hitting the ball hard, driving in a run, doing what you need to do at the plate, and walks are included in that. And so nice job by him, taking what he's been given. He's dealing with the cards he dealt. I think Backus had another little saying that he started to use lately. If you have your B game or your C game and you don't have your A game, you just work with that B game and try to do your best with it. And I think that's what Benedetti's doing. That's what Michigan's been doing today. They've had the offense hasn't necessarily been there, but they're trying to get guys on base however they can, and they're trying to work with the pitching staff that they have and really just throw strikes. Even if the stuff isn't dominant, like Cronenworth and Benedetti's weren't necessarily dominant, but they were able to find that control to get the job done, and that's why Michigan sits in a good position as of right now here in the 8th inning.
And we mentioned the problem for Garrett Williams was those walks, and that's exactly what he does to his only batter. It will be his only batter. He's been removed without recording it out. A new pitcher for the Cowboys, Carson LaRue. He was a guy mentioned by Holiday after yesterday's game as a guy who could come into this game. I expected to see him a little earlier on. He's gotten some spot start duty for the Cowboys here.
Hittable pitcher, 29 hits in 25 innings pitched. 19 strikeouts, so that's not too bad. 10 walks is probably what Oklahoma State wants at this point. 13 runs allowed for a 432 earned run average, 12 earned runs, 156 whip. So almost like the opposite of the previous pitcher where there was a lot of walks, not a lot of hits. He has a lot of hits, not a lot of walks. So now it's up to the bottom 5 hitters in Michigan's order to swing aggressively and get the job done at the plate and try to drive Benedetti in.
And I think it also was going with the lefty Williams against the lefty Benedetti, and now you're facing 5 straight righties. So bringing the righty LaRue and face off against this 5 righties in a row, Bruder, White, Patrick, Gutierrez, Jacobson.
No doubt.
And LaRue, one thing that does stand out that you didn't mention was the extra base hits against him. He's given up 11 of those, 6 doubles, 2 triples, and 3 home runs. So with Cody Bruder, he has some pop in his bat. Kevin White and Kendall Patrick also coming up soon for the Wolverines. Those guys are very strong hitters as well. We'll see if they can lace one to the gap for a double and perhaps score a big-time insurance run for the Wolverines. Nobody out here in the bottom of the 8th. The Wolverines lead 3-2. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball. Throw over to first. And Benedetti's back in with a head first slide. A little closer than he would have liked it to be. Cowboys definitely expecting a bunt. Third baseman Trino about 4 or 5 steps onto the infield grass. Bruder is squaring the bunt ahead of the pitch. Now he swings away, lifted high in the air to right field. Tracking it is Costello, and that one is off the wall. Benedetti had to hold up, and he will just barely get into second base. Wild play there. That one hit about halfway up the wall, so Bruder squared the bunt, as I mentioned, has some power in that bat. Laced it off the wall, but Benedetti had to hold up all the way at first. I was kind of confused why he was still standing right at first base. I think he wanted to tag up because he thought he was going to get caught by Costello.
Yeah, I guess that's the only explanation. Normally when you're on first, you go halfway. If he'd gone halfway, I imagine he would have had a good shot at reaching to third, but ultimately he had to be careful, as did Bruder. He didn't want to pass Benedetti because Bruder was already on his way to second, thinking that was a double off the bat. Nice job by Bruder getting some good contact there. He's struggled a little bit at the plate. You know, again, average still above 300 like many members of this Michigan lineup, but really hadn't hit the ball quite that hard in some time. So good for him to get a ball off the wall, even though it doesn't necessarily advance Benedetti as much as it could have. Now Kevin White has a big opportunity to add an insurance run for the Wolverines.
Yeah, he's a really good weekend. Cody Bruder, he's 6 for 13 on the series, so very good performance at the plate for Cody Bruder. As I mentioned, squared to bunt, tried to catch the Cowboys off guard. I believe he did. Now the infield is in with runners at first and second. This is something you don't see every day. And now we'll see Kevin White have an issue with his contact. That's not the first time we've seen that this year. Something went into his eye. And I think they're also going to pause to allow the umpires to advance to their correct positions, as they should. With only 3 umpires, there's always going to be one up behind the plate, but the other 2 in the field will move around depending on where the runners are. So nobody out here in the bottom of the 8th. The Wolverines have runners at first and second. Benedetti takes his lead off second. Bruder at first. Cowboys looking for another potential bunt here. White will take the first one low and away. Patrick standing on deck. So yeah, corners looking for a bunt. Middle of the infield in double play depth. Carson LaRue on the mound. Face 1 batter, giving up 1 hit. That was Cody Bruder a few moments ago. Checks the runner, now delivers 1-0. Fastball in the dirt. Good block there by Gage Green to keep that in front of him, prevent the runners from moving up to second and third. Outfield taking a few steps back. They're a little bit deeper than average depth. Know that Kevin White has some power in this bat. He's 1 for 3 on the day, singled back in the second inning. 2-0 right now. Drew taking plenty of time on the mound. He'll check the runner. Now come home, 2-0. That one's fouled right back into the screen. 2-1. Kevin White got one under that one, just barely got a piece of it and made it 2-1. Benedetti on second, Bruder on first. Wolverines looking to add to their 3-2 lead. We're in the bottom of the 8th. The regular season finale for the Wolverines here on Senior Day. A throw over to second base, but Benedetti is back in safely.
I understand Oklahoma State's not loving their situation with 2 on and nobody out, but Benedetti's not going to steal third. You're not going to pick him off at second either, unless he's really caught napping, which he wasn't there. Just focus on the batter. Just go after Kevin White. He's struggled all season, really.
2-1 misses low and away, 3-1. Good hitters count for Kevin White. Could get a fastball here to drive somewhere. Now the umpires will shift back. Middle infield in double play depth. Not looking for a bunt anymore, the corners anymore. They've backed off. Outfield straight up and fairly deep all around. Delivers 3-1 pitch, swing and a miss. Brewer came back with a breaking ball there. White was expecting a fastball. Now he'll take some time to gather himself, waiting for the payoff pitch, but first Gage Green will step out in front of home plate, go over the signs with his defense. Nobody out here in the bottom of the 8th. Wolverines lead 3-2, looking for more. They have runners at first and second. Benedetti walked on a full count. Then Bruder singled off the wall just moments ago. The payoff pitch. That one's grounded to third base. Steps on third, and that will be it.
Looks like it was a foul ball. Yep. Just skimmed past the line. Had a pretty good chance at a double play, actually. Kevin White, as we've mentioned a couple times, not the fleet of foot there.
I'd say average
speed. He actually can hustle down there, but I think that they had a pretty good chance at a double play between Petrino and Williams.
So we'll reset and do it all over again. LaRue checks the runner, comes home, payoff pitch. That one's low, and he's walked the bases loaded here. Kendall Patrick, big opportunity here on Senior Day. Very likely his last ever at-bat at Ray Fisher Stadium. Chance to make it memorable, but we could see a pitching change first. And I believe he will. Yep, makes the motion to the bullpen. We will see a pitching change. So Carson LaRue fails to record an out, just like Garrett Williams. 2 walks and a hit against 3 batters faced.
This will be the 5th pitcher for Oklahoma State. Still haven't gotten an out here in the bottom of the 8th. And that'll be Glover who comes in.
Yeah, he's known as their closer. He's had a good year. 2-2, 5 saves on the year. 17 hits allowed in 21 1/3 innings pitched. Only 5 earned runs all year long. That's good for an ERA of 2.11. 25 Ks against 7 walks. He's given up 3 doubles and 2 home runs. So they'll bring in the closer here to try and limit the damage. It's a pretty big boy on the mound. 6'5", 205 pounds out of Poto, Oklahoma. The junior righty.
It's like a bear.
What?
That's a large body.
Yeah, 6'5", 205 pounds.
From Oklahoma.
Are you calling me a big boy? I'm 6'4", 200 pounds.
You're not a bear like him.
I think he looks a little more than 205 pounds.
He certainly does. I thought you said 235, so
but even
I misheard you. Yeah, nonetheless.
He still looks like a very big boy. Like I'm just comparing myself to him, and he's got a little more girth. I'm sure he can throw a fastball much harder than I can.
You might be able to pitch a little harder than you. No offense.
No offense taken.
Obviously, over at Alumni Field, softball players of the Cal Golden Bears and the Michigan Wolverines starting to warm up. We will have that broadcast at 4 p.m. Michigan trying to advance to the regional final, as is Cal. The loser of the game will face the winner of Oakland and Pitt, although most likely Pitt. They'll play later today, and then they'll conclude the series, I believe, tomorrow. Is that correct?
I believe so.
And we'll have the broadcast for you on all of those games. They'll shift over to our YouTube 1 channel. That'll be Morris Fabry and Jeremy Parks. Almost called him JP Parks.
You can call him that.
JP Parks. Nonetheless, we look forward to hearing their broadcast. We hope you're enjoying the baseball broadcast.
I heard from a source that in one of his summer classes, he introduced himself to JP as the class. So
JP Parks. So even he's making the mistake. Or I guess if he makes it, it's just a change in culture.
Big chance for the Wolverines here. Base loaded, nobody out. And that is lifted in the air to right field. Costello tracking, and it's over his head. He falls down. 1 run will score. Here comes another. The relay in. There's a 2 RBI double for the Wolverines. The fans are on their feet. That's a big knock for Kendall Patrick.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've talked about Kendall Patrick before. Probably has come the longest way out of any of these players and really just worked his way in the lineup. He wasn't necessarily a regular player when he first got here. He was behind Cole Martin. You know, a lot of people thought he was behind Harrison Wentz, and he might designate a hit once in a while, but really didn't get a lot done there. But he's really thrived this year, and it's just come from hitting the line drives hard. That, as you kind of hinted at it could have been an out if it had been played correctly by Costello, but it wasn't, and that's the virtue of hitting the ball hard as often as Kendall Patrick does.
Still threatening here. Wolverines now with a 5-2 lead. That definitely will allow them to breathe a little easier as we get to the top of the 9th. They still have a chance to add more. Runners at second, third, nobody out for Hector Gutierrez. This is one of the situations where you're just trying to generate another run any way you can, but the infield is pulled in, so it likely will take a fly ball, sacrifice fly. He lifts that one high in the air to right field, but that one will go foul into the Cowboys bullpen. Makes a very good bid for Zach's car over there, but
I wasn't watching, so glad it didn't hit it.
I wouldn't really pay. I'm glad you weren't watching, even if it did hit your car. It'd be really painful to see your truck get hit by a foul ball. SUV. Clarification for the listeners.
I'm not going to call it a trucky truck, but I'm not going to call it SUV either. It's got a truck build.
Is fouled straight back.
Truck build, 4-wheel drive.
Gutierrez at bat. Eric Jacobson on deck. Senior should get another at bat on senior day, barring something crazy happening.
That would be pretty crazy. Pull a triple play with runners on second and third.
Crazier things have happened. 1-2 to Hector Gutierrez. And there's a strike 3 looking. That's not the one you want. Poor at bat from the sophomore shortstop. First out of the inning. Still have a chance to add another insurance run here. The senior Eric Jacobson will come out to bat, likely his last time in a Wolverines uniform here at Ray Fisher Stadium. He'll run through the signs with head coach Eric Backett before digging into that righty batter's box to face the righty Coda Glover. Glover came into this game for LaRue, immediately gave up a first pitch double to right field. Costello arguably could have made the play on that one, but got over his head, then he fell down. So there were 2 runs to score. Patrick advanced to second, White's on third. That's where they are with 1 out now after Gutierrez strikes out. He squares to bunt. Not the best one, but it is dropped by Coda Glover. I don't know what he was doing there. That gets another run in. And as you mentioned, Eric Jacobson really knows how to get a bunt down. He does there. He definitely should have been out at first, but a misplay by Coda Glover. I think they might rule that one an error. Allows another run to score. 6-2 Wolverines here in the bottom of the 8th.
I think that's, you mentioned it's not the best bunt. I think it was still a pretty solid bunt. Even before the error, it wasn't, the third baseman wasn't coming in, so he put it in the right spot of the field, and he has the pitcher Glover going the opposite way of the bag. So it's a pretty good usage of the field, finding some space. And Glover, you mentioned he's a bear. He's a big guy. Hard for him to showcase agility and some glove work while he's still trying to do work on the mound.
Glove work. I see what you did there. First pitch swinging by Cronenworth. Flip to second. Relay to first. And that's an inning-ending double play. So the Wolverines strand 2 runners, but 3 big insurance runs to the Wolverines, courtesy of RBIs from Kendall Patrick, 2 to him, and 1 from Eric Jacobson that will be ruled a hit. And that gives the Wolverines 3 insurance runs. They lead 6-2. We're at the top of the 9th. That's what could be the last half inning of Wolverines baseball here at Ray Fisher Stadium. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball. Andrew Hausman alongside Zach Shaw on the call. And Cronenworth will return to the mound, so looking to close out the deal.
Yeah, and he was joking around with Evan Hill, who delivered his hat and glove to him. So certainly things looking a little bit more positive for the Wolverines heading into this final inning. People on the team and in the stands feeling good. I don't know. I feel like they just needed a game like this if they wanted to have any chance of making noise at the Big Ten tournament, because those first 2 games, really excruciating losses, just very, as the bench players of the Wolverines do the worm out in left field, their last time out in that left field during a game this season.
Hopefully. Barring any miraculous comeback here from the Cowboys.
Fair point.
This one's not over yet, Zach.
Well, what can I say? Love the hot takes. Regardless.
Not surprising for a member of the Michigan Daily staff.
Well, no comment. Not gonna address that feud today, because the sun is peeking out. Looks like a cloud will cover it in just a few seconds. But really good inning for the Wolverines. Just a lot of quality at bats being strung together. I know it sounds like I'm beating a dead horse, and Backett sounds like it too when he talks about it, but that's really what it takes. That's all it takes for this Michigan lineup. They're pretty contagious at the plate, but really if they're hitting it hard, that's the biggest indicator of their success. We saw Patrick, not necessarily a guaranteed hit, just like Bruters wasn't necessarily a guaranteed hit, but they hit the ball hard enough that statistically they have a good chance of getting themselves on base and making things happen, and that's exactly what they did.
Corey Hassel will try and get the rally going for the Cowboys. Once again, we are still waiting for an inning to start due to Big Ten Network's coverage of today's game. We will finally be ready to get underway here after a long delay. Cronenworth on the mound. He's in his 3rd inning of work. He's pitched 1 1/3 so far, looking for the 7-out save here today. Swing and a miss by Corey Hassel. Nice fastball there.
He's really feeling it. We'll see how this inning progresses, but Cronenworth, you can just tell his confidence is up in just all of his pitches. His velocity's up. Everything is looking good for number 2.
Cronenworth comes set, now delivers 0-1 pitch. That one's fouled right back in the screen. Hassel's been late on these 2 fastballs, and it's 0-2. We'll see Donnie Eden wiggle his way out of that dugout to grab the foul ball. Interesting maneuver there. 0-2 on Corey Hassel. Cronenworth delivers. Swing and a miss. He strikes him out on 3 pitches. So after getting Costello on 3 pitches to end the 8th, gets 3 pitches against the leadoff batter here. 1 out here in the top of the 9th. Wolverines lead 6-2. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball. They'll bring up Kevin Bradley, a pinch hitter for the Cowboys. We did see Bradley yesterday, 2 for 4 on the day. Also scored 2 runs, drew a walk. Very good all-around day in that DH role. Batting .288 on the year. Been a part-time player, but he's performed well. He's at the plate with 1 out here in the top of the 9th, looking to get a rally started for the Cowboys. They trail by 4. They need base runners, so he'll take a ball outside. The lefty Bradley will face the righty Cronenworth. There's a strike in the outside corner. Cronenworth's fastballs look good so far in an inning and 2/3 of work. No one warming up in the Wolverines bullpen. This looks like it's Cronenworth's game. 1-1 pitch. That one's running on a high chop. Fielded by Benedetti. Flipped to the covering Cronenworth. And that's the 2nd out here in the top of the 9th. The last chance for the Cowboys will be the left fielder Ryan Sluter. 1 for 2 on the day. Scored a run. Struck out looking in the 3rd. Singled in the 5th and came around to score, then walked his last time up. But the Wolverines were able to strand him on 3rd. He stole 3rd on a defensive error by Jake Bivens, but Cronenworth is able to get the last out of that inning and strand him there. He represents the last hope for the Cowboys. They try and rally and go for the 3-game sweep. In all likelihood, it's looking like the Wolverines will take this final game here. They lead 6-2. We're in the top of the 9th, 2 outs. Suter with that close stance takes a ball, waiting for the 1-0. Lifted high in the air to left field. This should do it. Bruder cruising in, ranging to his left. He will make the catch, and the Wolverines win on Senior Day. 6-2 is your final score. They close the season on a high note. Your final score from Ray Pitcher Stadium. Wolverines win 6-2 against the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Najee season-ending victory, and that's the boost of confidence they need as they head into the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. Really a strong performance on all fronts for the Wolverines. No errors, no spectacular plays, but they did a nice job throughout making the plays that they need to make. The pitching staff got 15 strikeouts. That's a lot. That'll help your team win. And at the plate, they really controlled their strikeouts. They only had 5. They got 10 hits and 31 at bats. So that's about their season average. But really, it was all about the timely hitting and just getting guys on base and then driving them in just by hitting the ball hard. Nice contact. This Oklahoma State pitching staff really did a number on the Wolverines in the first 2 games, but Michigan showing that they're able to bounce back and have some fight in them at the plate. And that's a very good sign for the Wolverines, who will likely be the 3 or 4 seed in the Big Ten tournament beginning on Wednesday.
And we'll see the team shake hands as they end this series. Ends up going in the Cowboys' favor 2-1 after a great performance in those Thursday and Friday night games, but a good rally by the Wolverines on Senior Day. Teams can always be propelled by that opportunity to end it well for their seniors. The coaches will exchange greetings behind home plate. 2 third-year coaches with a lot of respect for each other, that being Josh Holliday of the Cowboys and Eric Beckett of the Wolverines. The Wolverines will head in their dugout happy with their 6-2 victory. And Zach, who's your player of the game?
Good question. I think it's got to be Brett Adcock. He set the tone early on. He's not going to get credit for the win because he didn't pitch late enough into the game. Oh, they are giving him credit?
Got the win.
Wow. Interesting. I guess college baseball is a little different than Major League Baseball. You need to go in the 5th inning to get the win up there. But gets the win is 8th of the season. That's the most since Matt Ogden got 8 2 seasons ago, and kind of a weird circumstance getting those 8 wins. But nonetheless, really strong performance by Adcock. And I think he showed why he, in my mind, should absolutely be the starter in Wednesday's game in the Big Ten tournament. He had, as we mentioned, 7 strikeouts in 3 innings. Only gave up 1, dribbling hit. Nice job by him. He's the player of the game, but really a lot of credit due all around. The pitching staff, other than Hendrickson, really absolutely shut down stuff. And at the plate, they were shut down a little bit by Nurden, but they got the job done there, especially that bottom of the order. After going 0 for 10 yesterday, the bottom 3 hitters in Patrick, Gutierrez, and Jacobson went 4 for 11, and they also tacked in 4 RBIs. So they really did the work down there, and overall a very good win by the entire Michigan Wolverine team.
Yeah, I'm also going to give credit to Jackson Glines. Only 1 hit on the day, but that was really the big hit for the Wolverines. It gave them a 3-0 lead, a bomb to right field off the scoreboard. They got a 3-0 lead with that in the third. That ended up being the winning runs. They checked on a few insurance runs, as we mentioned, by the seniors getting the job done. Kendall Patrick notching a 2 RBI double, and then Eric Jacobson laying down a bunt that went down for a base hit and getting 1 more run in. So good all-around day from the Wolverines. They notch a 6-2 victory with the win. The Wolverines move to 33-23 on the year. Oklahoma State falls to 34-17. Both teams will advance to their conference tournament. They'll start play on Wednesday. The Wolverines are keeping an eye on that Minnesota versus Michigan State score. If Minnesota is able to take that game, the Wolverines would move into the number 3 seed. Currently, the game is tied at 1. They're in the top of the 5th, 1 out there. Michigan State is batting. They have nobody on. They just grounded out to shortstop and now a strikeout. So 2 outs in the top of the 5th. Wolverines hoping that the Golden Gophers can help out their cause. The Golden Gophers are out of Big Ten tournament contention, so just playing for pride at that point on senior day. But Wolverines will keep an eye on that one. And Cowboys also had things go in their favor in conference. They still had a chance to move down to that 3 seed if Oklahoma was able to beat TCU. They were not able to do so. So Oklahoma State clinched that number 2 seed. And what's huge about that for Oklahoma State is they're on the opposite side of the bracket. It's a very interesting conference format for the Big 12 tournament where you have 2 separate pools, and whoever wins those double elimination pools advances to a single winner-take-all game for the conference tournament. So with that 2 seed, they'll be on the opposite side of the potent TCU team. So a lot of conference games going in these 2 teams' favor. They both get some confidence-boosting wins here. So all around, good series here at Ray Fisher Stadium. Zach, final thoughts?
I think it's just a good win, as you mentioned. Good signs all around for the Wolverines as the kids run the bases. But Michigan didn't make a lot of mistakes today. And I think, talking to Eric Bakich last night, his thing was if we can limit the mistakes and, really just get things done and play clean baseball, we can beat anybody. That's what he was saying. And I think they proved that today. And Michigan fans and players alike have to feel good about their team heading into Wednesday. They only got swept by Nebraska, and that was the opening series of the Big Ten. They really looked good against Maryland. They looked good against Iowa. They lost to Michigan State in kind of a sloppy game, but overall they looked pretty good. And they really can beat anybody. They haven't faced Illinois. Illinois is going to be a tough task, but really a lot of good things to feel about for the Wolverines.
So they will open play Wednesday. I know, Zach, you're going to be covering the game. Will you be broadcasting any of those games?
I don't believe so. If a WCBN partner can join me, I'm absolutely for it, but it looks like I'll just be writing. So you'll be able to follow the content on MichiganDaily.com.
And also we want to remind you that coming up in just about exactly 1 hour from now, it is 3 p.m. and at 4 p.m. it will be the Michigan Wolverines facing off against the Cal Golden Bears just across the way at Alumni Field, the other half of the Wilpon complex here. That's going to be in the second game of the NCAA Tournament Regional. So if they can win that one, they'll advance to the title game tomorrow. Otherwise, they're going to have to play another game later tonight. That's going to be at 9:30. So trying to avoid that one and avoid an elimination game later today. Instead, get a chance to go on to the title game in the regional tomorrow. That will be covered on WCBN Sports YouTube channel 1. Morris Fabry and Jeremy Parks on the call. That's going to do it for our coverage of Michigan baseball tonight and for the season. Thank you for tuning in. We've enjoyed covering it all year long. Final score here from Ray Fisher Stadium: Wolverines 6, Cowboys 2. Thanks for listening. We'll leave you with a good night and go blue.